You ever see the Lee Atwater Southern Strategy speech? Man,
familiar with the,
put that on your phone right now.
Context, yeah.
Well, my whole thing is
Your mind will be blown off this shit. And we should show it to our listeners. Lee Atwater was the political strategist for the Republicans at the time.
Is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger. That hurts you, backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now. You're talking about cutting taxes, and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things. And the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. And subconsciously, maybe that is part of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we're doing away with the racial problem one way or the other. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut taxes, we want to cut this, and we want is much more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than nigger, you know. So any way you look at it, race is coming on the back run.
Crazy, right?
So no, not really.
I mean, but it's true. So you're talking about
what's wrong with what he said? It's true.
So you're talking about regular day folks, and you're saying, listen, something that that people aren't comfortable saying is that, like we're saying, Trump was in this position of power or able to get elected because he was a white man. That no man of color that didn't have any civil or political experience would have been able to get the vote, right? Certainly, it wouldn't have been elected. When you listen to the Lee Atwater thing and you're saying basically everyone has said, hey man, like bad hombres, or
they're still doing it with the word globalism.
Still globalization. You know,
when they mean Jewish influence.
You know, welfare mothers was something that was going on during the 1980s during Reagan.
Welfare queen.
Super predators.
Super predator. So, but when you're looking
no one's exempt from all these things.
Yeah, but
right.
I get it. I dig it. But it's also to know, like, from historical, like, he got elected. Clinton got elected because they're looking back on it and they're thinking, what are they doing so much better than us? Well, they're using race to fuel their campaigns. So Clinton comes up with super predator, comes out with harsher sentencing, the 3 strikes rule, you know, this idea that when people are felons, they're always going to be felons, but at whose cost? And it's very important, I think, for everybody to see that video, just because when you meet people, you have conversations like this, and they say, no, race doesn't factor. You could be talking about race and not have to even reference race, because like Lee Atwater said, you're getting your message through, and it's coming off as more abstract, but it's absolutely deeply rooted in race. And that's just keeping it real.
Yeah, but people being aware of that doesn't change anything.
No, I don't think so.
For American politics, other than the influx of more immigrants. That's the only solution.
I know, but
more immigrants coming in, and then you're going to... Why the fuck are we doing this? I'm first generation. I didn't have all this family history. And you just keep getting more influx.
They just keep diluting.
And you have it diluting everything.
I know, but even with immigrants, you act like everybody's been under this colonial rule, right? We all have a colonial mentality.
Because we're human beings.
Nah,
this
bro.
is what humans do.
Not because we're human, as a Mexican.
You're conquerors one day, and you're conquered the next, and then you're conquerors again, and then it's a cycle that repeats itself.
As a Mexican, and as a, you know, and looking at what happened to Latin America.
I exist because Spain came and raped all of my ancestors.
Your language is gone. You don't know anything about the indigenous folks that were there. They think 700 million people were fucking gone, literally
eradicated. I don't know anything about dinosaurs either.
Oh, okay, but when you're looking at who you are, it's like when
I'm an American. I'm a human being. I'm living life. I'm existing in this world. No,
I understand that, but you're an extension of a belief system that is subconsciously and consciously at play that you can't put your fingertips on. And so I'm
putting it on it right now.
You're just a reflection of your envienment. So I'm saying that when we're saying all
I have a child and I send this child over to China, is that child going to be American or Chinese?
Is it held
Chinese, because it's a reflection of where that child is.
Are you there with the child?
No, I'm just going to send it on over there.
It's going to be Chinese.
Okay.
So, but are you looking at these?
So all this history you're talking about goes right out the window.
But it is relevant because
only where you were raised though.
But if you're People know, like I'll say this with technology.
But you wouldn't be Chinese because that the Chinese will point out that as that child's been born.
Depends.
That Chinese will point out different.
Maybe.
And that'll shape the kid's life.
Absolutely.
No, they would.
Oh, they would.
It depends on where that child gets raised. If they're getting raised in the fucking jungles, then maybe.
No, I
But
think
if it's
I'm
Shanghai
saying
and you
Shanghai.
have some-
They're gonna be
No, they're gonna still say
ostracized too.
Brown kid.
Yeah.
Depends.
I'll have.
What if the baby's half Chinese and that's why it's going
No,
to
you
China?
can't introduce something afterwards. That's you're moving the goalpost.
Okay, we'll keep the goalposts the same. My idea is still.
What if the baby spoke Mandarin?
No.
And Cantonese.
We're making assumptions all around
Well,
here.
the baby would actually.
But the
Dropped it off when it was
ostracized or not.
But the baby had a natural proclivity towards.
Hold on,
Mandarin.
no. If you're ostracized or not, that has nothing to do with my Spanish or indigenous relations.
I'm saying
That's
okay.
relating to skin color, right?
We're all
no,
reflect-
because if that baby grows up and knows nothing but Chinese culture, knows nothing but the language, doesn't know anything
here's
else.
why it's relevant. It's not relevant for this particular argument because you're talking about what's happening in America, particularly how race plays out in Western society in the United States of America. For that baby, it would be relevant for him when he comes to or her when they
or any gender
when they come to that moment of
discriminate.
cognition. Where all of a sudden they decide they want to discuss the nuances of the society that they were brought in.
Maybe
you
they
telling
live in
me
China,
that it
so
is
they
not
might not be
relevant?
able to.
Is it you telling me that it's not relevant and trying to say that we're going to look at it through that perspective? What if I was in Papua New Guinea? What if I was in Antarctica? What if I was in Scotland? It's a terrible example of moving a goalpost and it's not staying within the confines of a debate. I'm telling you that makes no sense.
No,
we're talking about
you're
that little boy or little girl could then say to me, "Hey,"
or little Zed,
Zim. They can have a conversation with me and say, "Hey, listen, you don't really understand the society ailments that are inflicted in Chinese culture, particularly what happens."
Race is different in every country. In some countries,
but what we're
race doesn't
referencing,
exist.
why Lee Atwater is, why the Lee Atwater Southern strategy is very important for people of color
because
and
race
other,
is such a it's so ingrained in American society. That's
because
why.
When you're talking to a Republican and they're saying race is not a factor, it doesn't play, racism isn't coded in the language, that they're not using.
It is, but that doesn't mean
you and I could say it is. But if there's a guy from Mario Smalls who's a sociologist from Harvard, went out there and tried to get quantitative and qualitative data to substantiate that people were voting for Trump based on white privilege. He couldn't do it.
You want to know what one assumption is? That
But let me tell you, Mario Smalls, who's a very, 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 very well-known sociologist.
You're all telling the truth.
No, he couldn't get the data because one, it would take an incredible amount of self-reflection. Like look at you. You're probably pretty self-aware guy, but like you still will have a moment where nihilism and these other themes sort of intertwine where you're like, well, I don't really know. You know, give me a break. So
about what?
But if you go to whatever the Southern Belt or you go to the Dust Bowl and you start asking people, hey, did you vote for Trump on this nostalgic idea of making America great again, which sort of has themes of making America white again and sort of has themes of race at play.
You know why I would never ask that question?
They don't have self-reflection enough say yes.
You know why I would never ask that question? Because it's none of my business.
Oh,
because
God.
No. Because I'm an American and they're Americans too. And who I vote for, who they vote for.
You traveled around the country a lot?
I've traveled around the country more than yeah.
Okay, so we know that there's a lot of tribalism that exists in the United States of America.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
and I subscribe to Team America, where you have privacy.
So
I don't. Who you voted for, I don't really care.
So
who
we
Garrity
both
I
had
don't really care.
Dodgers hats on. What happens? Obviously, we both can have different.
I'm not gonna stab
ideas.
people in the parking lot if the Giants win a fucking baseball game.
If the Giants, but when someone gets stabbed in the parking lot,
they should go to fucking jail.
Of course,
they're stupid.
But
they give Mexicans a bad fucking name.
Do you hold the Dodger franchise responsible?
I thought that fool was green lighted.
No, because
but you should.
No, I shouldn't.
No, I think you.
They aren't fucking saying kill the Giants.
Wait, you said the Dodgers are responsible?
I think that not that.
No, Cholos have taken Dodgers as a proxy of.
Listen,
yeah.
anyone, dude, since the 1980s when I used to go to whatever Choppers review, that people have been getting their ass kicked in the goddamn parking lot now for 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, and the Raiders too.
So you think that's the first time someone been stabbed in
No, hell no.
But what's your point?
The point is, so the Dodgers didn't do anything about it, right? The franchise probably didn't do
What are
anything
they
about
going
it.
to do?
More security? I mean,
The
shit.
more
There's
they
security.
they already have the most secure lot in the
There's so much.
Bro, I went to a Royals game when I was living with John Brown, and I was surprised. I was like, you can tailgate at baseball games?
No, you can't. At Angel Stadium you can, but you can't at Dodger Stadium.
Bro, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I went to a Royals game,
Royals.
and
I
Royals.
thought you meant Dodgers versus Royals.
Right.
No, I get
So I
it.
went to Royals in Kansas City, and I'm like, why is everyone tailgating? I didn't know this was part of culture in baseball. And I was like, oh, it's just a problem that Chavez Ravine is not allowed.
That's what I'm saying, though. The Southern strategy,
what's your-
Lee Atwater shit is very relevant.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Yeah, it's not.
You're not getting an argument from me about that.
You can't necessarily and it's very important for people to understand that they might be acting on some sort of implicit bias or something that's very reflexive.
But we all are, but for different things, not just relating to race.
Okay, but
That's just us as humans. We're complex. We're influenced by everything.
Listen,
because we don't
whether it's not. We're all. If
we
I
don't
want,
do a lot of
just because
self-thinking.
just because I don't put cream in my coffee or sugar.
Who taught you the way you think?
Who taught? That's probably a reflection of my environment. It's going to be a reflection of compulsory school. It's going to be a reflection of there's a colonialism that exists within the school system. What am I going to?
So how much is really your original thought and not influenced by any outside sources?
I mean, I will tell you that I do believe I had a benefit of the way that I think because I didn't have language acquisition until the third grade.
Wait, what?
I didn't speak until the third grade.
You didn't speak until the third grade?
No, I didn't. I had no language until the third grade. I'm really not having complete sentences until the fourth grade.
Really?
Yeah, they thought I was autistic. So but there's something else that it's called Einstein syndrome, which is
Okay.
it is. You can look it up. So it's kind of
He didn't talk either.
yeah.
He didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's with some late language developers that part of their
Who came up with Einstein syndrome?
probably I can't remember, but it definitely was a psychologist. So but it was an explanation for someone that doesn't have language acquisition that all of a sudden has language.
So your opinion on yourself was influenced by.
I didn't know what it was until actually didn't know what it was until because I always assumed that I was on the spectrum.
I know you. My whole point is
So-
I'm just trying to tell you that everything you.
No,
think is
but
influenced by
I'm
other
telling you
things.
too that because
And I agree that this
particularly
is influential.
particularly
Yes, but
particularly
so is
because of
everything.
before age 8. We look at before age 8. If you know about theta waves and like
Everything gets ingrained. That's
And-
why you
yeah,
should teach
it's
a
a
child a
suggestion.
second language at that age.
Okay, so-
an instrument, whatever.
So the thing about it is that looking at that and not having like a traditional sort of experience with school because like just
what does
couldn't
traditional
participate.
mean though?
Traditional means like by kindergarten by kindergarten in the first grade being able to say in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
So only in the last 100 or so years is that traditional. 200
No,
years.
well, we're traditional.
So it's not traditional.
Listen. You're
I'm just
off and
saying.
Let's
No,
let's
because
return
there's no
from-
such thing.
Let's park that
I don't
spaceship back.
No, it's not a spaceship.
And be relevant
because
to our time.
You're
No,
talking
that
about
blew.
Because I'm not
traditionalism.
I'm not talking about
And
clicks.
we didn't go to school
We're not talking about
in the
the way that
1600s. We didn't go to
linguistics-
kindergarten.
Well, there was no compulsory
So there's
school
no
there.
such thing as tradition. It's a new
Prussia,
thing.
Prussia brought,
Things change.
Prussia
Things
brought the first
change.
model at the end of the 18th
I know,
century,
but things
which then
change.
became
Prussia brought the first model of schooling?
yeah, which then became what? What did Prussia become?
I have no idea.
It became Nazi Germany. So like,
So we're doing Nazi. So what you're saying is we're having Nazi
well,
school
no.
system?
If you think about it, you look.
I don't understand what what
My
the point is there.
my belief.
I'm just breaking down everything you're saying.
I'll explain to you, and what my thought of that is that first people to have a compulsory school system, first people to have a traditional school system by today's means, not what it was happening in the 12th century. Something that I can't.
That was more of an academy system where it was like a...
it was only
chosen
only
people.
only
yeah.
certain people had
Yeah.
access to it, right?
Right.
When they gave
You met under the tree,
when they
you
gave
did a little lesson.
when they gave education to the populace, it was being practiced in Prussia.
That was the first-
Socrates might touch you a little bit.
So the thing about it that was
There you go.
interesting.
Part of learning... Oh, that's back to Milo. That's part of the learning experience.
Is that, and we can go down that rabbit hole too. Is that you're looking at a populace that is getting indoctrination. They're getting education that's reflective of what the engineers of their society feel is relevant and what it is, those belief systems and the narratives that they believe that they should learn.
Absolutely.
Also being taught a skill set that they believe will assimilate into the workplace and so forth.
100% agree.
Right?
Thank you for doing that too, Gary.
So you're looking at that, and what happens when you give this big group of people the same belief system? Lo and behold, you know, a couple...
Yes, indoctrination is
30
real.
or 40 years ago, 50
Do you
years...
not feel you're indoctrinated, though?
No, I told you that in kindergarten, I cannot say in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I can't say it. I mean...
Okay, you can't say it, but could you think it?
No.
Okay, but can you do it now?
I mean,
Hold on, can you do it now?
Of course, but I don't believe in it like you guys do.
So you're free. You're aimless then.
I'm not aimless.
Because you didn't.
I just think that
couldn't
because
name out
What was
facts
going on in before 3rd grade?
oh man, it was very interesting. Like so,
At some point, it had to turn on though.
I would look at kids that were.
Do you
playing-
remember things
Oh
from
yeah,
that
yeah.
time?
I remember watching kids play house and stuff, and thinking to myself like, "This is weird. Why are they pretending that's not real? Like that, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they pretend?"
Did you guys ever have the feeling when you're a little kid that like you're on the Truman Show? Like you're the center, like you're the human and everyone else is like a robot
That's
or everyone else
PJ.
is like
No, because I never saw the Truman Show till I was much
That's-
no,
older.
no, no. I learned that. I learned that
That's
concept of adding.
Piaget's theory of childhood.
Yeah, like you think you're like you think this universe is for you, and then like everyone else is a player in your world.
Because you're very self-centered. It's like this.
Right.
When you're a
I
little
believe
kid,
that now.
when you're a little
You believe
kid,
that now.
Yeah.
I could put the cup in front of your eyesight, and I think that I'm hiding behind the cup.
Right. It's that idea.
It's one of the theories that PJ's
Because
developed.
you
But
don't
I
perceive
believe
that
that.
the
But I
rest
think
of the-
that's a fact. I
He
think
still
it's
believes
true.
in that, particularly with debate.
No, we
Come
all
on.
do. We all believe it because it's a fact.
You look at this cat.
When you die, the universe ends. Your universe is.
Oh, we
over.
don't know that for certain. I mean, come on. You got all these people that die, and they're like clinically dead. Bushwick Bill from the Ghetto Boys died,
No, he didn't die.
but he died in the
Who's
early.
that?
No,
Is that-
Bushwick Bill died yesterday.
No, it's official.
It's official, yeah.
Because they said he died, and then
No,
his
it's
manager and
official.
his
No,
family
it's-
was like, he is not.
It's official. I met Bushwick Bill at Jackrabbits in Long Beach.
And this is
rapper.
Bushwick is
From not from Brooklyn. Bushwick Bill was from Houston, from the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
But he passed
Ghetto
away.
Boys is a rap group.
Yeah.
My mind is playing tricks on me.
Ghetto Boys sounds like a
Spelled
really.
Geto.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Ghetto. My mind's you never.
It sounds like a
dun.
like a really
Yeah.
like a cheesy Asian gang.
No. It's
No,
Ghetto Boys.
No. So he passed away. One of the things they were talking about, he said he wasn't. He had an interview with I think Vice or whatever it was, or maybe it was Team T actually, and he said that he wasn't fearful of death because he had already died in the 90s. He'd clinically been.
Yeah, everybody says
They
that.
thought that he was dead. So this idea that the universe ends, I'm sure the universe ends by
I'm
whatever
saying
means.
your universe it's no longer what it is.
Probably, but
So
it's,
that, as a
it's-
result, you
it-
are the most important.
But we
person.
also don't.
You are
know.
the most
for
important
someone
person
that's
in your
annihilate.
life.
For someone that always says that we don't know. On this one, it's interesting to me that you'd be in a fixed opinion and say that we do know so you're okay to define that after death.
hardest thing to-
I know that.
But
no one
anything,
knows
I
anything
can't.
about.
I can't
No.
like you.
I know.
You're like. I
Hold
don't
on.
know about anything. We don't know.
Wait,
we don't know.
no.
But on this one, we do.
I know that when my dad died, he is
Yeah.
no longer in existence of the normal world anymore. I know that for a fact.
Of the normal world.
Of the world that we live in,
Sure.
correct. I know that for a fact. And my
Yeah.
grandma, everybody that I've lost has never come back. They've never appeared to me in
What do
the
you think
spirit.
about
They've
the?
never
What do you
appeared-
think about the ghost shit? the
I don't
spirit
believe
shit?
in ghosts. But
I lived in a haunted house.
what I'm saying is though, I'm saying you're the most important person of your life. You're the most important.
Well, no,
of
we're
your
all
own life.
selfish beings. Like we're all like no.
'Cause without your own personal
Like-
survival, then none of this really makes a difference.
Heidegger talks about,
So
or
then-
a lot of philosophers have tackled this one, which is like
Then you
even this idea of like, if I ask you how you are, you say, "Oh, I'm good, Trevor," but I can actually really never know how you are because we're limited to language, we're limited to an interaction. That the how you really are is only being defined by your consciousness and your being. I can't never get a gauge of that.
I don't even know how I am. I can't
Right.
tell you. Well, you know what? My heart is beating. Like I don't know.
Well,
I could just say I'm happy to be alive.
We're
That's
probably
true.
how we are too. I think sometimes is very reflective of like the demands of what the Western world, like what they see you as. Like if this is why when people, you ever notice when somebody's like pretty wealthy, and you figure out that they're going through like some sort of mental disease, you're like, well, I don't know what his problem is, man. He's got millions of dollars. Like, how am I supposed to feel bad for him?
That's 100% how I feel.
Okay, but like it's that we put the Western world puts so much emphasis on success and monetary means, value.
Yeah, that when they have problems, I don't give a shit. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You have money to solve those issues.
But it's also ridiculous.
No, it's mental illness.
It's not,
You have money for treatment?
okay.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that
But
there's something pretty.
there might
fucked
be
up
in
about
treatment.
that.
About what? About me not giving a shit about rich people? What
Who was
happened to
who's the designer that killed themselves? The female from New York, Kate Spade.
Kate Spade, yeah.
Yeah, Kate Spade passes away. We know that she's probably worth a lot of money.
Right at the same time as
Bourdain?
Yeah,
Bourdain.
Bourdain's another one. So Bourdain, I think that it wasn't being. Bourdain is okay for us to look at him because we're looking at him as like the struggle, as the artist, right? So we have another narrative that sort of comes into play. We know that he had mental disease. We know that he committed suicide. But that one starts to get written
when his girlfriend comes into play.
And
The payoffs.
talked about differently because it's like, oh well, he was the artist, or he was filled by his heart, or he's filled by his passions. He's filled by wanting to change the world, by wanting to expose people to cultures that they would never have been privy to.
It's the same thing with the designer too.
Kate Spade, well,
she's an
when
artist.
wealthy, I know, but we all, it's a different. First of all, we're not intimately involved in Kate Spade's process because we couldn't have been because we didn't have access to that. It's not like there was footage of her, with drawing or behind the scenes.
There might be out there somewhere.
But I feel like we all knew Anthony Bourdain. In
his
ways.
story was better explained because
I don't know a dude.
he wrote a
a
book
TV
about his
show.
life and a TV show.
I don't know a
second
guy
show and-
that didn't watch Anthony Bourdain that didn't think that this was a bad motherfucker.
He was.
Yeah, exactly. Or looked at him and like, damn, Anthony Bourdain is the man.
Does it? It sucks.
So,
it sucks. When
but
people
I'm
kill
saying
themselves.
in society,
like what fucking Linkin Park dude.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell.
I met Chris Cornell.
Then Chester Bennington.
The dude who did the
Chris
EDM,
Cornell could
the
sing,
EDM
man.
stuff.
Oh, he killed himself?
Who?
I don't know if he killed
Oh
himself.
no, Avicii.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know he killed himself.
Yeah.
I knew he
I
died.
don't know
it
if
was
he killed himself or died of
That was an
overdose
accident
or
or
something.
something.
Either way, these are people who died by their jobs. That's what that's the narrative. Like their jobs pushed them to that. I'm just saying, I don't.
Yo, it's also to say if you're really good at something or creative, you're probably off.
Yeah, because you're putting your all into it.
Yeah.
But my thing is, who's to say what's off and what's not off?
I worked with. I mean,
Because
he knows. I trained Kobe Bryant for a little bit, right?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Now you
No.
do.
Okay, well, I trained Kobe Bryant.
I can't verify, guys.
Well, neither.
He's trying to say he knows. I didn't know that.
Kobe Bryant made me sign a non-disclosure agreement, but it's been a long time.
Oh, there he goes.
So sue me.
Sue.
You saw you made an LLC for this, right?
So
this
I
could
trained
fold?
Kobe. I trained his daughters too, Natalia and Gianni. Allegedly. The one thing that I will notice that I could say about Kobe is that
You know a guy. You know a guy who trained Kobe.
Me and another guy, Andre Huseman, who owns the
Damn, throwing someone else under the bus.
He owns.
Yeah.
Well, he came out with it. Years when Kobe retired, him and I used to go to Kobe's house, and like we were told we couldn't talk.
Where does he
about it.
live?
He lives in Newport Coast.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And oh fuck it, I'll tell you a funny Kobe story. So when I get to Kobe has a workout room above his garage, and I walk in there and Kobe's not there yet. It's me and my friend, and we're just sitting. We sit down and we're waiting for him to come. It's kind of like. You imagine it's like
I've been to rich people's houses. I know what that feeling is.
But it's Kobe fucking Bryant.
No, I know.
It's nervous. And so I look up at the wall. I look over to my left. And it's just, in the images, you just see, you know what?
It's just him?
No, you guys know what boudoir photos are?
No.
Bourgeois?
Maybe I do. Let me
Boudoir?
look it up.
Boudoir photos are something like what wealthy people do. They have their wives take like kind of provocative poses in lingerie. You don't know about this?
Let me see.
Bro, broke people do that too. Send nudes, dude.
Huh?
Broke people do that too.
Yeah. But I mean, they put it
They
up.
put it on Snapchat.
They put
Send nudes.
But they put it up on there
They get an artist to paint them.
Yeah, and it'll be up on the wall. But like, so Vanessa was like, in lingerie and shit on the wall.
Oh, so you're like afraid to look. You're like, this
Bro,
is a powerful man.
I was afraid to look.
I can't look.
Like,
This is a very powerful man.
yeah.
Like-
So like, so I don't want to fuck up shit by Kobe. By like, Kobe walks in, and I'm just like,
Join on it.
and Vanessa's a pretty woman, right? And so like, she's beautiful. So like, I'm literally like, I could just
That Colorado chick looks better though.
No, she did not. Oh
No, I know.
So, ask the Pink Diamond. Remember that shit?
No.
He bought her at like 25.
Did he?
He bought her like a $25 million pink diamond afterwards.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Wait, his wife?
Yeah, Kobe bought his wife. Like,
Yeah,
some
I do
incredible
remember
amount.
that. Yeah, I do remember that.
So,
She
anyways,
stuck with him. Just that
but
money
talk
now.
about being off about Kobe. Limited amount of time with Kobe, but I'm around Kobe. Kobe is off. Like he's.
You don't even need to be around him to know
He's
that.
Yeah,
so
people know that.
Michael Jordan is off.
fucking competitive. I
Trump
remember.
is off.
I remember
These
him
people
talking
who
about
come-
Natalia and Gianni and training.
Tyson, you guys think he's off? Maybe.
Oh yeah, we know he's off.
But see, we're all off in just our own things. I just don't think people have to determine what.
Nah,
they've
some
discovered,
people.
what-
You ever been to like
Very mediocre people are very, very not off.
some people? Yes, some people have their shit together, and it's like so, like hunky dory.
See, I don't know about that. I feel like they're secretly deep down miserable.
I don't know. They're like, oh,
I really do.
You say, how
I
are
think-
things going? Oh, everything is fantastic.
But no one wants to hear.
I
That's
think that's what they put.
how
on.
are things going is the biggest lie in the world
ignorance
because
is
no one
bliss.
gives a shit about how things are going. I don't want to hear if your response takes more than like 10 seconds, you regret asking that.
Simplicity.
Most people that's why we all end up
Yeah.
lying to each other and we say everything's great, but things are not great. We're all fucked up and miserable and depressed.
I think people who put I think there are definitely people out in the world who love simplicity. Who are
Could you
fine
imagine?
with it,
Could
who
you
are
imagine a
content with it.
day where everybody? What was the Jim Carrey show where he had to tell the truth?
Liar, liar.
Liar.
I
Could
love
you,
that movie.
Could you
That was
imagine?
great.
The movie. Yeah. Could you imagine? Could you imagine a day where everybody took off the mask of indifference and just fucking kept it 100?
You know who talks
That's
about
what
that?
happens on social media every day, which is why I'm glad Trump is in office because you're exposing that shit more and more.
But I'm talking about.
Wait,
No, I'm
there's
talking
more
about.
mask alive on social media.
It-
Every one of my pictures is like the best thing.
Yeah, it's
My vacation was awesome,
It's
although
a
my
yearbook
vacation
that you can
sucked.
control.
I don't.
It's a
necessarily
yearbook
agree.
you get to control. Nobody goes on that motherfucker and is like, hey,
I'm talking about interaction.
just want to know. I've yet to see the hey, 5th day training. Just want to know. Let you
I
know.
got popped.
I actually gained 3 fucking pounds. My body's getting fatter, and I think I'm so sore and slow that I'm getting hit more in the face. Like no one is saying that shit.
I'm gonna start doing that next.
But that's not being real. I'm not talking about that.
You ever seen hashtag
I'm
negative
talking
gains? Hashtag negative gains.
I'm talking about the way things get exposed, the way things that are being propagated.
And you see like brick by brick,
like
like one brick at a time.
like this
Yeah,
Atwater
hashtag
shit,
blessed.
to
Yeah.
tie it back to the Atwater stuff, things like that happened today because of
That
social
shit
media.
happens today. Come on. We don't need, like, you got a president that for sure they have on record during the filming of his reality TV show using that word.
He also said in a camp,
And they don't out him.
Okay, but I mean, I'm not gonna.
Did he
throw
say
any-
that?
I'm not
At
gonna-
a campaign rally, there was a black supporter wearing like a MAGA hat or something.
My black guy.
And he goes, "Where's my African American? Oh yeah, show him my African American." Like,
Right.
bro.
But I'm saying, come on, man. Like the country, listen.
And his people loved that because they knew it was going on. They knew he was
Bro, I thought that shit was hilarious.
right, but his people were
Even
like,
my-
"Yeah."
Even my black friends thought it was funny.
Well,
That
it's
was-
funny that it happened. But
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
this is Atwater shit happening.
This is Atwater shit. It is.
To say my African American, and you know that you're not technically gonna get in trouble for it, but
It's not that too. It's
Atwater
it's
shit,
it's
yeah.
like who's the female Candace Owens? Is that what it is?
yeah,
The
she was casted by the
Brightburn people.
maybe it's them, but there's money behind her.
I feel like
Because these people don't become super. All of a sudden, they're in your feed all the time, and they're like getting news spots.
I feel like
These people get
if I came
paid.
out as like, that it's easier to come out as like
As a woman?
as a conservative
yeah.
pundit, and if you're a person of color and get some steam,
Yeah. They're like, we need some.
they're like,
we need
oh,
some- yeah,
who's
yeah.
this guy? Oh, he gets it.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets it.
Well,
Like,
that's why they put a bunch of money behind Milo, and they put a bunch of money behind
yeah.
Candace.
If I was like,
Because they have a social media presence. Because they're a face. Because they can talk. They can
No,
communicate.
because I honestly believe Democrats and Republicans or liberals and conservatives think a little bit differently. Like
I don't. I really don't. I
don't-
think at the political level, all they give a
So
fuck about
what
is
is
re-election.
what is
and
what
getting
is
elected in the
as
first
corny
place.
as American as Magda hats and like I've yet to see any Democrats like show up and like Roger Stone is a very corny individual.
He also got Trump elected president.
But I'm
He
saying,
got
so what
Nixon
is what is
elected.
the equivalent to the Dems? What's the equivalent to like some of the shit that we see on the Republican side?
Because Democrats
So,
like
I
to
said,
pretend like they
like-
don't, they're too good
like
for
we
that.
don't
They're
elect.
above that, so
No
they're
one
not going to do
is,
that.
is,
so then they
is,
don't get
is,
elected.
is,
don't get elected.
Listen, as smart as who's my man that plays Batman? That's
Christian Bale.
no, the other one.
Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck. As smart as Ben Affleck sounds on Real Time with Bill Maher, sounds like he's got his shit together. Nobody walks away and says, you know what we should do? We should elect Ben Affleck.
Yeah, but
Is
you
he
know
a
what they,
political guy?
You know what they
He's
might
pretty
do?
political.
I didn't know
You know
that.
what they might do is if The Rock decides to go into the to run for
Oh, The
office.
Rock plays that shit so safe. He just
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I like that about him.
You're gonna tell me
I like
that
a
people
little break
wouldn't
from
vote
politics.
for The Rock?
No,
People
I
vote
would
for it.
I would tell you this.
But he's not a Democrat or
Hold on, hold on.
Republican.
I would say this.
2024
That if The Rock
is on the
if
ticket.
The
You're
Rock
gonna
says
tell me
that he's
not gonna
a
get votes.
Democrat, 50% of the country immediately lose their fascination with The Rock. They're done with him.
That didn't answer my question.
Because The Rock's a star.
If
He
The
knows
Rock
to stay in the middle.
runs for office, you're telling me he wouldn't be a political power in terms of
He would win.
In terms of like a,
No Democrats are gonna get behind the fucking Rock, bro. Come on, give me a break. No.
So your answer is no.
No Dems are going to be like, you know who we should ride with? We need to ride with the bull. No, they're not going to say that
Well,
shit.
there's two people in the. I would wholeheartedly vote for The Rock. as
You
president.
motherfuckers, man, give me some
Oh,
of that.
I think
Because
it's.
I like the guy. I fucking have. I like the guy.
I think
like
he would
him.
win.
And I like. I've
It's
liked
not
him
good.
Since, I've liked
It's
him
definitely not
since-
good.
So who?
But is he any
But I
better
think-
than Donald Trump? Or any worse? Any worse?
Oh, this is the worst.
I don't want to continue perpetuating.
Because
now
we
we
just
get
got
celebrity every time.
because we
No,
got
no, but why not? See, that's why.
because Dems
No,
know better.
fuck politicians.
Dems know better.
America
That's why.
is.
Well, that's why Dems aren't winning,
America
but-
is
Yeah,
run
exactly.
by
It's 'cause-
America is run by a democracy.
Okay.
And that means that Schwarzenegger could become the governor. That means Donald Trump can become president. That means The Rock can become
But there's
president.
been no examples of Democrat like there's no example of there's no Dems that are from entertainment with the exception of Al Franken. He's the only one I can think of. Wait, you know why Al Franken got involved in politics, right? It's pretty interesting.
No.
So Al Franken was being paid by the Republicans in the 80s to write skits against the Democrats. He was.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
So who's paying these guys?
Because
now?
imagine they know you're SNL writer. They hit you up.
Yeah, what is wrong with that though?
Man, because so what's wrong with controlling the airways? Why don't we just bring back
Some Republicans would say it's happening now.
No, first of all,
That
let's
the
just-
SNL
let's-
writers are all writing
let's
into
take-
let's just
concepts.
engineer the shit out of democracy.
No. Let's take a step
Like-
back.
like-
I'll go. I won't change. Move the goalposts.
So bring
I won't
the
do anything.
Pravka,
We
right?
need to do what you're doing and say, you know what? Televised debates on PBS or whatever. Everyone has a very. This is the run. This is the amount of ad time each president's going to get or running whatever. So it's because we own those. We own the airwaves. Who's choosing to put Trump on the fucking thing? Not me.
No, I would tell you who is.
Fox, CNN,
No.
the head,
Trump.
because it's
No.
making money.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do
Trump
you
makes
think
the
Disney
most
bought-
sense.
Fox sold all of their movie shit because they're making so much fucking money with their news organization
if-
that they don't even need to deal with it.
if
So they
I
sold
have-
it to Disney
because-
for $71 billion.
Because when you have someone as
Because Disney will run it as a profit center better than they would.
when you,
Because
no, when
they'll
you have
focus
someone
on
as,
the other.
as
Fox is
polarizing,
making so much money.
Yeah.
if you have someone as polarizing as Donald Trump, that you have people that are checking into the debates at higher rates than the actual playoff games to watch Hillary and Trump go
That's
at
why
it.
he won.
Well,
But-
yeah, the people that hate him are so
people
giving so much airwave
people-
attention
but
too.
It's
So
it's also to
win.
say then who is it that it's like this idea of this is what I say about capitalism in America. You ever see that thing
There's
where
consequences to freedom.
who's my man Stamets? You know Paul Stamets? Stamets talks about
Who is he?
he's a mycologist.
He's a mushroom guy.
Mushroom dude. He talks about this this cellular intelligence and this where they introduce this fungus into this model that is that's a mirrored version of the Japanese subway systems. They put food at the
and they're
end.
able to figure out
And
like, this
when
pathway and stuff.
they first introduced the fungus, within 72 hours, it's kind of going in different directions. And after 72 hours, it actually creates more efficient pathways than the engineers did for the Japanese subway system, proving that there's a cellular intelligence in fungus, right? Okay, so the way that I look at capitalism is like this, and particularly like the punditry and the polarization that we see in politics today, that capitalism is sort of fluid that way, and that the reason why we have someone like a Donald Trump, or the reason why there's so much there's such a bigger divide within Republicans and Democrats is because of the profitability of it, right? Capitalism almost knows that when it accidentally introduces a fungus like Donald Trump, that this ends up being much more profitable for the mechanisms involved in capitalism. That's when I reference something like more people were checking in to watch the debates than they were watching.
I was one of them.
When they were watching the playoff games, politics became
reality TV.
It becomes more and
this
more.
proves my point.
More
that
and more
people
sports
are getting more and more into politics.
It's
good for long term.
It's to say
I feel
that
like your window is like.
But if you're looking at
this short,
if you're looking
opposed
at
to-
politics though, and we're looking at the greater good for the populace, we should perhaps start to entertain other things about. If we're looking at trying to be, the new republic and the greatest republic of all time, which I believe is our intent, we should probably start looking at themes that might not necessarily resonate with capitalism, which is perhaps we should disassociate things like TV and capitalism and the way that it's being pushed on us. Because how do you?
Oh, I don't agree with that.
So ultimately,
seeking it.
ultimately, then, like you said, we become part of.
We create it.
We
That's
become.
what
We
is
become.
this
We
we're
become.
doing?
We become part of a society that is going to end up voting for someone like The Rock, or ends up voting for Ben Affleck because he was great as Batman. And really, how
He was not.
well, I don't know. I don't see Batman.
Yeah.
But like you're looking at if we're wondering what could happen to the New Republic, we're wondering what happens to this new empire that's being built and whether or not it will withstand the test of time. We're probably not being preemptive at the decisions that we're making based upon one elephant in the room, which is capitalism and the modification and commodification that comes along with it.
My fault.
Monetization.
I hear everything you're saying, 100%. 1919 to now, this year, do you think life in America is better or worse, or the same?
Well, I will tell you
Absolutely
that there's different times. If
Hold on, no, better. Oh wait, is it better or worse than it was?
from 1919
Yeah.
to today.
Mm-hmm.
Better. Absolutely.
It's better. No, I think we have to divvy up this conversation.
Diseases gone down.
Okay.
Life expectancy gone up.
Okay.
I'm talking about in America.
He's by the way, he's very strategic about this because he includes a number that has to do with the Great Depression.
Okay, 50 years ago.
Okay, so 50 years ago, the conversation starts to get more entertaining.
Is it better?
So-
Well, no, I feel like you're moving the goalposts because I said
Well, I mean, with 1919, if I'm being honest with the historical
because
perspective,
I assumed you'd say better, and then I was going to go back to 1819.
we have to talk about
and then 1719.
We have to talk about wealth accumulation. We have to talk about who is being
It's
displaced.
still the same.
Because
the same fucking people who came to this country were
Well,
rich
it's got-
enough
no,
to come
it's-
to this
it's-
country,
it's-
and
it's-
they continue to
no,
manipulate and rig the system.
Wealth accumulation was better for a time being, particularly after the New Deal and the GI Bill, and there's this big emergence of the haves and the have-nots, and a burgeoning
And
middle,
basically
wait,
a middle
a
class.
burgeoning middle class, a union class.
So the answer is no. You don't think
It's not
better.
is it
Why
better?
don't you think it was better?
Why not? No.
they're-
I don't think it's as easily. It was better. Was it better for the white laboring class back then?
Would you rather have been alive
Absolutely.
today or back then? How's that? That's a better
Who
question.
am I?
I don't know. You tell me.
If I'm part of the white laboring class.
No, you're you right now. Would you rather live today, and all your friends, everybody that you know, would you rather them live today or
No,
1919?
most of my friends don't want to be alive in 1919. No, most of them don't want to make America great again. They don't have no nostalgia.
But I'm gonna.
So would you assume that in 2119 things are probably going to be better?
I know because
So you don't think the needle's moving towards being progressive and just improving life in general?
I don't it because it's not just
Because I absolutely do. I
the
just think
measurement
we
of that
don't-
needle has so many different variables, right?
No, the main variable is time. We die before
Can we
actually
measure
see
one
the-
thing at a time? Are we measuring wealth? Or are we measuring health?
So I will
Are we
say this.
measuring
Just life.
society and
with the
justice?
exception of Jim
You
Crow.
can live in any period of time and be okay.
Yes. right.
So we're talking about society and
He's
justice.
like, give me a time machine. I'm going back
So
to
we're talking
19.
about society
We'll
and
sit you
justice.
down in
We're not talking-
1953.
We're not talking about health,
Alright.
and we're not talking about
I'm
science.
talking
We're not
about
talking about
everything.
Okay.
but I want to level the playing
Everything.
field a little bit here.
No.
If we're talking about like the ability that most people have refrigeration
Then
now,
name
and
me,
we didn't.
Then
that-
name me some things that are not better today than they were then. Let's
That
start.
are not better?
If you want to.
Well, we know that there's a diminishing working class or middle class. We'll start there. We know that.
1919. I don't think there was a middle class.
Well, Okay, 1919, no, but after World War II, with the New Deal, with,
Middle class
with the
is
GI
taking a
Bill,
dip.
with the GI Bill, you're looking at things that happened after what 46 and 48, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at aversion. You're looking at what we
For about 20 years.
what we know
out of the 200 plus year
right, but
existence
you're
of the country.
you're also talking about the introduction of the Industrial Revolution into the 19th century,
And now we have the
into the
internet,
20th
yeah.
century, and sort of seeing the way that it plays out. And it isn't that America
one.
progressively
I'm
progressively
just
was
trying to
getting.
figure out what else
But I
is
do
bad.
believe
Middle class.
that if you're a white male and it's 1960s or 1970s, you're doing pretty good. If you're part of the white laboring class today in 2019, you don't have a job. Your shit's been because of globalization. Your job has been sent overseas, and it hasn't gotten better. Like when you see.
It's not going to. So
It's not going to, but like when you see drug epidemics.
no,
and,
we're just gonna have to adapt to the times.
And that part,
we're not bringing jobs back. We just need to
it's not
adapt
happening.
and create new industries.
But when you
create
see
new-
drug epidemics in that rural part of America that mirror the exact same things that were happening in urban.
So are you saying this is the fall of Rome right now?
I mean, Rome has got to get its shit together for sure. Yeah, I can see it. I hate to be messianic or to think that the end of the world, but I mean,
No, I'm asking you because you don't think it's gotten better. So
I don't
I'm trying
think
to, I'm trying to get down to the root of why you don't think.
I mean, even the way that we handle it's like Long Beach, for example, is very boastful about a lowering crime rate, but what they don't talk about is like, well, okay,
You just got pushed out to other cities.
you're just pushing people out to other cities. I mean, you're disenfranchising poor people so much. You're displacing poor folks. It's not like all of a sudden there's a abundance of economic opportunities or abundance of resources in the communities. No, in fact, if anything, you brought in a concealer, and it's not that you've just concealed this. You
Want to know
also,
another thing too?
You've also
There's also people living here now. In 1919, you didn't have as many people living here.
yeah. I
in
mean,
Long Beach.
that was who I was having a conversation with somebody about Socrates and Plato, and it's like, imagine you didn't have to be. In order to be considered a great mind, you only had to be 1 in 500,000, versus like.
And the pool of people who read and talked and got their ideas written down was small too.
Yeah, or those that even had, like you said, or had access to the printing press, which means like that's the thing about Karl Marx. Like anytime people talk to me about Karl Marx, he had to have some sort of engineering of the oligarchs, because people at that time, if they had access to the printing press.
I've never met a communist or self-proclaimed communist.
I never have either.
Isn't from an upper class.
Yeah.
It's like it's a privileged idea.
But
it's a privileged idea.
actually never
it
met.
is because the people I know, who I've worked with, who I met in school, who've come from communist countries, not one of them commends communism.
Of course,
they all denounce communism in all forms. They all think that Americans are stupid because they have this fantasy idea of we can all live happily ever after, but like when it's actually in effect, even though I still feel it's socialism and not true communism, that's a topic for.
Yeah, but this is also a bullshit conversation too, because you talk to somebody from Belgium, you talk to somebody from
Romania. Specifically.
Okay, so you're talking to somebody from a country where it didn't work. You start talking to people that have the best quality, like someone from Vienna, someone from Denmark, someone from Sweden, someone from that part of the world, and guess what they're going to say? Oh, socialism is great.
They're also not communist countries, though.
No, but we're talking. I thought we were talking about socialism. We're talking about communism.
No, I'm saying
Let's not sandwich them as the same.
I'm trying to differentiate the two, but all of what we know is communism is Russia.
If you're looking at
Russia,
Cuba,
Cuba,
but if we're looking
not
at,
even China,
Yeah.
we're looking at
it's not even really
the top 5 countries that have a correlation with
America's
equality,
socialist,
quality of life. What are those countries? They're socialist countries.
Yeah, and I would conclude America in that, but you don't, because you don't
No.
think America's gotten better in the last 100 years.
No, I don't think that America.
And
it's not that America's gotten better in the last.
I think
100
it's going
years.
to continue to
It
get
isn't.
better.
It isn't. It's not like you can just fix something. If you're black and
I know, but
it's 1919 and there's Jim
This is-
Crow. I've heard black folks argue that there was more access to social mobility pre-segregation, right, or pre-integration.
perhaps that's true because perhaps it's been a plateau now.
Because
Yeah,
no.
but I find
Let
that to
me
be
tell you the
bullshit
argument.
in
Because there
2019.
was black communities that it was easier for you to have black commerce, black owned business, because white communities weren't down there doing business because there was more economic, like Black Wall Street. You know what Black Wall Street is?
Oh yeah,
Less competition, you mean?
I know. I remember. I
No.
read that.
That Black Wall Street was flourishing because black folks had their
Baltimore
own.
or something.
Yeah, black folks had their own. They had their own commerce, they had their own business system, their own economics. They weren't depending on other folks.
Well, then they got civil rights, and now
Watch the first episode
and they
of
get
Killer
fucked like
Mike's
everybody else.
Netflix show.
Yeah.
Killer Mike's Netflix show. Where on his first episode, he does this thing where he's like trying to go to only
with the
black
with the
businesses.
black businesses one. I
Black
saw
business
it, yeah.
for an entire like week or something.
Yeah.
He's only shopping.
And it was very
eating.
difficult for him to get.
And it ended up being difficult for him in a certain
only-
area of the country where
So they were talking about
there had been more black businesses,
there were
but now it's like
there
all
was something
corporatized and,
called
like,
Black Wall Street, which was a thriving community, which was more than middle class. It was doing incredible, and they burnt it to the ground, right? So it's also to say that it's not as black and white as we. I can't just go, hey, this is this and this is that. If we're talking about Jim Crow era versus today, no, absolutely, you don't want to be alive during Jim Crow era. I mean, I don't know anybody that wants to be alive during that shit, right? If you're talking about being, strange fruit, talking about people being hanged in the South,
Yeah, but
by
even
the
Black
Klan.
Wall Street. Let's go with that for how many black people in America were benefiting from that?
I mean, you're talking Harlem.
How many people were benefiting?
There were black communities
as a whole.
So there were black communities that were thriving pre-integration. You can't probably say the same for today. That's just keeping it real.
I don't know.
I don't know the stats.
I mean,
yeah,
even
I
looking
can't-
at
but what Daniel was about to say.
looking at
what
the Harlem Renaissance, what Harlem was at that particular time.
when was that era?
It was like the
1920s.
Yeah, 20s, 30s.
Yeah, but what Harlem was for that particular time, when black folks were doing business with
Yeah, I
other
know. And
black
then
folks.
Elvis came and stole all of it and made all the money on
Well,
it.
but I'm saying when we're looking at these things, I can't say like if you're living in Biloxi, Mississippi, during that same time in the 20s, no, you're probably saying, man, I'm so glad that it's 2019, right? But if you're in the Harlem Renaissance, you're a small business owner in the 1920s, you're saying, hey, and you're only doing business with other black folks because you're so segregated that other people aren't coming in there to do business, or you do business with other ethnicities that are also being segregated at the time, you probably could get very nostalgic about that particular time and think it was great,
And
right?
I would personally wish
So-
that it didn't happen at all, and then we could all just do commerce with each other.
But you're not. But you're talking about historically. You're talking about the 1/3 of the 1%, the powers that be, the real oligarchs, the real money. There's an vested interest for them not
Of course,
to
because they're at the top, just like anyone.
It's
you,
a
Garrity don't know what that's like because we have never been
I-
there.
I agree
So
that-
to assume that if we were to climb that ladder and get to that circle somehow, some way, we entered that, we came up with $1 billion idea, we had Amazon 2.0. I would find it hard to believe that any of us in this room would be like, we're going to give it all back. We're going to do everything that we're proclaiming in this room.
I don't necessarily. I would tell you that if I was in a position to help as many people as I could, I'm helping everybody that I can.
Sure, but if you
That's
went,
me. That's
if you
only-
went from your net worth now
That's only.
to $125 billion.
Then I get to help more people.
Maybe.
Like, what do I like? No one needs $125 billion anyways.
Why not? Who says?
What the fuck are you gonna do with it? Nothing.
Run Amazon.
Run it. And what is Amazon? All Amazon does is sell you a bunch
changed the
of bullshit
face-
that you don't need.
It's changed the
Any
face
impulse,
of
any
operating.
impulse that I have, it's like, hey, I want to. What was I?
You know what it's done? It's given us time.
I was
back for our
Googling the
own
other
lives.
day, how
That's
do you
what
get
it's
a
done.
how do you get a thicker beard, right? So I'm all of a sudden on YouTube, and there's like this thing called a derma roller, which is like you like roll your face and like little micro cuts.
So why are you on Google or why are you on the internet?
But
That
anyways,
is the
immediately
system. That
it
is
leads
the
me. It hits me
oligarchy.
with the Amazon window. Hey, if you want this, bro, you can have it for $12. It's like, man, it's so much bullshit.
supporting the oligarchy right now by
much shit
using
that
Google.
we get sold. I mean,
You
listen.
fell right into it, man. Fell into the trap they said.
I know, but we're also saying the
It's
supporting
okay
it.
when it's
Well,
like
I don't-
the
Hey man,
internet.
your beard's fine, dude.
I know, but I wish I had like the beard that
You
was.
want an Al Qaeda beard?
Yeah, as Al Qaeda is. No, because I feel like Al Qaeda is just down here.
No, Al Qaeda's.
I don't think.
I
Muslim
feel like
beard
Al Qaeda's everywhere, dog. It's like here.
Depends.
It's also fucked up we call it Al Qaeda beard. But listen,
I mean, that's funny.
And is it not a fact? Can you name me Al Qaeda members except for the 9/11 ones that had to shave it because they didn't want to get caught?
Can I name you any Al Qaeda members off the? No, I can't.
They have beards. It's a Muslim thing.
Yeah.
It's not an insult. It's just it is what it is.
Is that in the
They
Quran?
shaved. That you have
Yeah,
to have a
I think
beard?
so.
It is?
Something,
I think beards is.
Yeah.
But I don't. Anyways, but no, I'm saying it's also just to be honest. You're like saying, well, we can't be responsible for these things. We could do a better job.
Absolutely.
Like
These conversations are important.
There's a lot of shit that we do, a lot of rabbit holes we go down. We gotta fucking know better. You got to know better.
That's why this stuff is important. This is why even though you say I'm a nihilist, whatever, it's going to get better because it has gotten better.
I mean,
the more we know, the more we learn.
But
because
it's
of the
easier
internet,
for us to say that it's better because, like,
because it is better.
But I could tell you,
It's
just
not perfect. That's the thing.
just-
because we always want more.
every
It's
day,
like,
every day, just seeing.
what's your favorite car in the world? If you were to own it right now, you'd be like, what would you?
Hold on. If I can have any car.
Any car you want.
Give
Anything.
me some ghetto shit.
No,
anything.
I want a classic,
Fucking Monte
classic
Carlo.
Porsche, or
Okay, let's say it's a Porsche.
yeah,
You wanted that
or
car.
even a Buick Riviera, the classic, the 60. That's a beautiful.
If
car.
you had that car, you're going to tell me you're never going to want another vehicle again in your whole life?
Hell no.
No, this is human nature.
Exactly.
Okay, but this
Things
is
are better
this is
now
why-
than they
this
were
is-
before, but they're
This
not
is
perfect.
my
because
argument.
we
This is my.
always
You
want
didn't ask me
better.
if I had a pro-capitalism argument. My pro-capitalism argument is this: you and I could go down to a sandbox today. We can get it's a playground. There's a bunch of kids that are under the age of 4.
Yep.
You and I, before we came there, we went to one of these toy stores that is now gone because of Amazon. We went to
Toys didn't go anywhere though.
KB or Toys R Us, and we bought a
Toys R Us is actually coming back.
we both
by the way.
we both bought 1,000 marbles each. And we go to the sandbox, and we're dealing with 25 kids, and we take those 1,000 marbles each, and we just litter the sandbox. And we sit back. I think that there's going to be, for certain
There's
kids,
some kids that are
a
gonna
natural
choke,
proclivity.
they're gonna eat the marbles
no,
and die.
to collect as many marbles as possible. So I think that there might be something in us Darwinian that we don't understand, probably that had something to do with survival and us accumulating and collecting things. And so with capitalism,
Yes.
oftentimes, I think the reason that we jive with capitalism so much is because there might be something that's ingrained into us. Because if I'm seeing a bunch of 3 or 4-year-olds that are fighting to collect more marbles, I've actually never did this experiment. I always wanted to do it. But I do know that kids, all of a sudden, like, they're literally like, no, that's my marble.
You had the chance at the quinceañera.
They're
the
15.
park, yeah.
I'll do it with the candy, with the pinata.
No. But the day you tell your daughter.
Same thing with the candy, though, right? Same thing with the candy. We've seen it where kids don't know too much about candy.
Yeah, but I could do the same experiment with you.
So I'll probably.
If I had a bag of
but-
$100 bills
but-
and I fucking threw them in a sandbox,
Who
you're
was
not
there?
gonna
You
be
see,
like,
you see there was a rapper
Well,
in New York City
actually-
that was making it rain.
Actually, there's that one.
if I put you in that
one
box,
economist. No, there's that one
you know
economist.
the invisible plastic box that they blow it's.
You're talking about
the
that
wind-
shit from Total Recall?
No, like you
Sounds
see
like a
them-
game
you
show.
See them like a game show. It's like a basketball game where like they put a fat guy in like a wind tunnel and
They
they
grab
blow
him.
all this stuff and
But what about
wouldn't you do that?
What about living in a society that's like all of a sudden that's the entertainment? Like that shit's scary.
Have you ever turned on Mexican TV,
Is
bro?
it scary?
Yeah,
Ever turn
man.
on
Like
game shows?
literally,
See, I don't-
literally,
here's why I disagree with that.
literally,
Here's why I
like it's
disagree with
like
that.
literally like, hey, you know what we're gonna do? I got a great idea.
don't
We're gonna
agree.
we're gonna get one of those tornado joints with the
I don't
plexiglass.
agree at all.
We're gonna put that puppy up like it's
You're just proving
it's
to me
a-
you've never played PC games like Sims and things because those things.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Dude,
those
that was
exact
awesome.
things-
I
Hold on.
know, but
Those
what
things-
does
wait,
that
wait,
say
wait.
about humanity as a whole? Where that's the fucking entertainment.
Those keep the
Like-
humans in line and they ensure that the populace is distracted from all the other shit, so they don't feel like I'm living in a war.
You're on some
shitty
you're on some
society.
Edward Bernays shit.
This is video games. This is what I learned from
You know
playing video
Edward
games.
Bernays is? Sigmund Freud's nephew? The spectacle itself, the engineering society. He's a big dude. He's basically the modern PR guy, right? Public relations guy. What he's very well known for is that when people think about breakfast, what do you think about?
It was
It's
sweet.
a different question for me.
No, but what do you think?
I don't eat breakfast. I
He's
fast.
okay.
That's like a new phase of your life,
Oh my
though. Like,
fucking God.
Breakfast
So-
to me. Hold on. If you
What's
want,
it?
but it's new
what is-
bacon and eggs.
Thank you. Okay, so
Okay.
during the I want to say I can't remember.
I think it's cereal.
During the 20s or 30s, the Beecham Nut Company. We know Beecham Gum, which was like this big, agricultural company that gets a
Yes,
hold.
We're followers. If that's your point,
Gets
we're
a hold
humans,
of them.
We're animals.
Says, hey, we don't have enough
The
people
food
eating
lobbies
pork.
are interesting, man.
He goes to his friend at the American Medical Association, asks his friend that's a doctor, hey, do you think it'd be beneficial for Americans to get the majority of their calories in the morning time to go throughout the day? He goes, yeah. He goes, do you think you can get the AMA to sign off on it? Yes. He gets the AMA to sign off on it. He makes sure that every newspaper in America has this big type line that doctors from the American Medical Association says that you should start your day with a hearty breakfast, particularly bacon and eggs.
That's why you should question
And
everything.
pork jumps up. It's like,
ironically-
lobster and shrimp used to be
Poor
fed.
people food, yeah.
Used to be fed to inmates.
Yeah, it was poor people.
It was the rats and roaches of the ocean. It was the bottom dwellers. It used to be fed to inmates.
I just heard a very interesting podcast on Planet Money about in Norway, the fishing population at one point had been subsidized by the government, and then they realized they had overdo it. They wanted to wind back this amount of subsidies they were getting for fishermen. So they decided they needed to start selling salmon and exporting it to Japan, because Japan has a rich seafood culture, but they had never done sushi because salmon, there was this big stigma of salmon being a fish that you never ate raw. And so they had this whole campaign to convince people to start eating salmon sushi so they could export this product. And it's kind of a similar idea
shit.
of that food lobby.
Edward Bernays used to do it with that.
transaction.
He did it with cigarettes. So females that used to be considered
I know, and sugar too.
taboo.
Why do you think we have sugar so much? Which is ironically, I'd rather have bacon and eggs every single day as opposed to anything with sugar in it.
But I'm just saying that a lot of
cereal.
When you're looking at the
it's
looking
wild
at the engineering of society.
Sugar for breakfast became okay.
And we're looking at how this plays out, and even when we're looking at, it's easy for me to make arguments for capitalism. It's always going to be difficult for me to make an argument with communism. Just like the paradigms are going to exist. If somebody's a communist, they're going to be probably anti-communist.
You know why it doesn't work out? Because we're all humans. We all have different minds. We all have different upbringings. We all have different...
Okay, so with a different mind shit that I would bring into play is that if you're dealing with someone that has a lower IQ, the national average for America is 98.
That's a factor too, but also where you were brought up and what social class you were brought up in.
We're not going to be able to. Sometimes you're incapable of having a pretty thorough discussion with somebody because they're literally they're not sharp enough for it. That's just.
But you have to adjust.
No, I'm not adjusting myself.
So then you shouldn't. You don't believe everyone should vote then?
No, I'm on some bourgeois shit. I'm on some John Locke.
See, but then
I'm on some John Locke.
In theory,
John Stuart Mill.
In theory, I agree
founding
with
father
you.
shit.
In theory, I agree with you.
I believe everybody should have voting.
But see, but then you're always going to have this chaos. That's the thing.
Well,
as I said this before we started talking.
But listen,
these are the consequences of freedom.
I do believe that we have a populace
waste.
That we have a populace that's going to be reflective of
everything has waste products.
Skills that they're being taught. You don't have a lot of critical thinking. You don't have a lot of critical thinking. You don't have a lot of analytical thinking. You don't have a lot of natural divergence that's being taught within the school system. If you had these,
some people just like to just follow.
Okay, but there's no moment. Like my daughter came home and still thinks, my youngest daughter, and says, "Dad, did you know Columbus?" This is my youngest. She says, "Dad, did you know Columbus discovered the New World?" And I looked at her and I said, "No, honey, that's bullshit."
Yeah, I know. But that's your job.
Okay, but why?
Right?
No. I'm calling to task, not my job.
Hold on, that's your job.
I'm calling to task why in 2019 that my daughter still has to be told this thing that we all know is a fucking lie.
Send her to a private school or a charter school.
Okay,
because that's an argument for that. Because you can find a school.
But if we're talking about
we're
talking about the greater good, we're talking about the greater good of populace. Imagine all these arguments.
Wait, no. Imagine what I just said. Hold on, no.
No, because you're telling me that the system is so rigged that we're going to continue to make thinkers that are reflective of something that's gone, which is the Industrial Revolution. That motherfucker left the United States of America. No longer does everyone need the skill sets. You need it. If the country wants to continue to innovate, the country wants to continue to lead other countries and be the leader on the board, you're going to have to make better, more beautiful thinkers. So why are we all abiding to this thing that is no longer relevant?
Schools, private schools.
Damn, damn DeVos. Like Betsy DeVos. Calm down here.
Wait. No. Why is what I'm saying incorrect?
Because All I'm asking for
You're complaining about the public school system,
is
right?
in the beginning, I think we could collectively all agree that it's bullshit that a kindergartner or first grader is learning in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue. If we can't agree on that,
Okay, so
then you're right. The IQ is
this-
98.
This is a critique of the public school system, correct? Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't you go and champion private schools, charter schools, schools that
Because-
you know exactly what they're being taught? Hold on. Wait.
Statistically,
wait,
a disparate. No, because I'm gonna blow your argument out of the water. It's real easy.
You don't even know what it is. 'Cause you're not
But
even
I can tell
finished.
you that there's a bias that exists statistically. The number that which I believe is in the upper 70 percentile. Private schools are in alignment with some form of religion, right? That is also going to be. That's also so. There's supposed to be a separation between church and state.
It's private, so it's
So,
there's doesn't
okay,
it's
but
exempt
we're
from those rules.
we're talking about the greater populace as a whole.
Charter schools
You're
aren't
asking
always
me.
private,
You're
they're always-
asking me to pass the burden of responsibility
Homeschool
to
your
private
child, then.
schools, but also to give them indoctrinate them into
Why
religion
don't you
as well.
homeschool your child?
I don't. Okay, well maybe that would be like maybe you should
Or hire a tutor.
Why don't we just do the easy thing and stop lying to kids? Isn't that much easier?
There's a lot of people who
Like all the bullshit that like look, we should all be real. Let's be real about World War II. Let's be real about Vietnam War. Why don't we educate the kids?
It sounds like you're moving the goalposts here.
So
'Cause you're supposed to blow my argument out of the water.
Well, the blowing the argument is a simple one. Is that you're saying, well, why not put something into private schools? One, private schools. We're talking about something that we're talking about the school system that's being provided public education. I'm not
what
talking
do you
about
think, Garrity?
about private education.
I mean, I went to private school my whole life.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, and this
So-
guy also knows what the money multiplying effect is, and I had no idea because he gets a very like Hegelian approach, and things are.
I don't know if
Hold on,
that's
let
true.
me ask you.
I don't know.
Did
Now you're talking me.
We
but
learned about Columbus. I feel like at Holy Trinity. Maybe not. But
at least in high school, I had that kind of the Howard Zinn reframing.
Exactly.
But I didn't.
This
I
is
don't
my
know.
point.
I don't
Exactly.
know. I don't remember. To be fair, I don't remember if how Columbus was taught when we were
but
little.
no one is having.
But I
a
do
Howard
remember
Zinn.
by fourth grade we did learn a lot more about the Native Americans, a lot more of how they were getting
yes,
killed
thank you.
and all
So
that
this
kind of
is- so
stuff.
this
Okay.
but this is my
Nobody-
point.
nobody-
But I don't
it's-
remember.
You might have had the introductory class where
so-
you learned about
so-
Columbus,
so-
but then by the
it-
time
But then it was just about hats. It was just about the hats and the turkey you made. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's not. It's
didn't
not.
we not learn by the time we were adults what Columbus really was?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yo, but you're also it's
And it's
something
because of people like you
there's
telling
a,
your kid this
there's
is bullshit.
there's a power that says to somebody, hey, these are okay. There's lies that are being told every day to students across America,
Correct.
to kids
and
across
you're
America.
contributing to the problem by sending them there.
Okay,
Or not being more active.
no, I
in
don't.
your-
I'm not contributing to the problem. It's not me. I
But it is, you're a part of the
I told my
populace.
daughter.
You want to talk about like
I told my daughter
accepting the cold hard facts
Here's what
and
I told
like
my
being
daughter.
real
I
with
said,
it,
you
blah,
tell
blah, blah.
you tell them that Columbus was responsible for genocide. If they have a problem with it,
Why don't
give me
you
a
go
call.
down and tell them that?
Dude, this is 2019. If you even like go to a school and like raise your voice,
And this is why
Like-
nothing changes because of that.
well, no, you can't be okay. So
But I'm saying
you're basically telling me that it's my responsibility to change.
Where do they go to school,
That
by the way?
No, you're basically
school in
telling
Orange County?
yeah, you're basically telling me that America is so fucking stupid. America's so dumb in 2019 that they can't figure out these things that we know blatantly are lies.
because no one
And
has
then
the
has-
balls to go and tell them. That's exactly what I'm
Okay.
saying. Because
Do you
parents-
know that? Did you know that? Like, case in point, I saw my daughter. My daughter had this end of the school year performance for like her kindergarten year,
Right.
and they sang a song about Indians. I don't remember what the song was called, but like it was like
From India?
no, Native Americans,
Oh.
Indians, like, but it was so like they're like oh, and I'm like sitting there thinking to myself,
Did you complain about it?
I did say something to the teacher.
And what did they do?
The teacher just looked at me like I
that's
was
why
nuts.
you got the PTAs are huge for these things. You rally the community, you get the Beckys, the soccer moms together. Things change.
You gotta understand.
Because
This
that's
is
democracy.
I
No.
think you're looking at. You're looking at it. You've been in LA for a long time.
No, I think you're trying to think of it as like someone else is going to just solve this fucking problem. I'm just going to continue to complain about it, and it'll just solve itself.
I guess, but
Because I don't have children.
You
So for me,
also have people that don't take offense to that. They think that people are
We live in the age of social media. You could be fucking campaigning
sensitive.
about this. Yeah, but you
people. So
you have to instigate the change.
Or you could just fucking keep it real, and not if God. So you're basically telling me.
I'd rather talk to the teachers than start a social media campaign.
I
said PTA, but
for the elite.
Really
So you're telling
PTA would be a smart way to go.
So basically, you're telling me for all the smart people that know better, we got to stop. We have to go out to the principal and say, "Yo, what are you guys doing singing a song about Native Americans calling them Indians?" When does this shit stop?
Most smart people, because I'm assuming when you say smart people, they also have money. I'm assuming that's the association.
There's no correlation between intelligence and wealth.
When you say smart people, I'm assuming that you're talking about money. People who have money.
No, that's you, because you put money up on a pedestal.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's a bunch
money bought me my education.
Okay, but there's a bunch of people
100%.
There's a bunch of generational wealth. They didn't have to do shit besides be kept.
Not my family.
Okay, but you're not.
As
you're
a matter
not
of
money.
fact,
You're so far. You're so far from money. You're so far from money. It's not even a part of the conversation.
I'm cashing out.
You got to come to grips with that. And no way. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you invent something. So I don't know. Or you come up with it. You're a great director, and you come up with it, and you end up. But let me even say this: someone like Spielberg is still far from generational wealth. Far from it. The more you can come to that realization, and the more you're okay with that, the more you'll fucking see that the system is not what you think it is.
Why does that affect me?
Because it's the same society that thinks that Kobe Bryant is very wealthy, but doesn't realize who are the men that write Kobe Bryant's checks and who are the men that are supporting the men that need the NBA on TV.
Yeah, but you know what? I'd rather live in Newport Beach with whatever you said, with the gym on top of my garage, with fucking pictures of my wife.
Okay.
No, I'm saying whatever. Yeah, same thing with Oprah. Oprah's a billionaire, not a real one, because
you introduced wealth as sort of having intrinsic value in the conversation.
I was asking.
Okay.
I'm telling you. I didn't even finish my point.
Who is the new generational wealth families?
I have no idea. The Rockefellers. Yeah.
New generation. I don't know.
They're the same ones that have been since they came over.
Waltons have got a century into it. Right?
So what is that? Is that new or old to you?
I think that's very new money. Yeah.
New, but it's generational.
It's us. It's generational.
We're talking about fucking people we're never going to come into contact with.
Well,
I can become.
Well, you're gonna go to Walmart next week and get groceries.
I can become the most.
So you're.
I don't shop Walmart. I don't shop Walmart because I'm a union kid.
There you go.
I could become the world's most successful director. I could become bigger than Spielberg, and I'd still have nothing compared to what one of the Walton children has inherited. So for me, I don't care about that. I don't think about that. It doesn't reflect on me, because now we're changing the subject. We're talking about schools here. Specifically, if there's problems.
No, you said that you said that you thought that there was a correlation between.
No, I was asking you, and you
success,
said no.
money, and intelligence. I think there's absolutely not.
Because if you were going to say yes, I would have said, well, then that's
what was Einstein's net worth? What was Nikola Tesla's net worth?
I don't know who you brought up net worth.
They're nothing. It was nothing. They're not in the conversation. Well,
you said intelligent folks. So where does how do smart people get their education if they're going to shitty schools, public schools?
Well, most people that were that level of intelligence didn't participate in the classic form of academia.
You were talking about intelligent people right now, which is
we're talking about real IQ. Most real IQ folks don't participate in that form of academia. I mean,
so they don't go to school at all.
I mean, if you look at the academic trajectory, well, because my daughter's not Nikola Tesla.
Your daughter's a genius.
She's pretty smart.
Yeah. How do you know that they're not?
Well,
because they're in the school system that's already limiting them and teaching them to adhere to certain standards.
I think that especially right now, if you're one of these kids that is divergent just naturally, and you're going to think differently, it's a great time to be alive because of technology, because you can get on the internet, because you can sort of dive into whatever.
Levels the playing field for sure. The access to information,
but it's also
no longer kept in books.
It's also to know that
connect on many different.
That you still, when you're looking at economic opportunities in America, you're still like looking at this idea of I know a guy, right? And nepotism
is real, and it's not going anywhere.
which could also be economic hegemonic privilege, which also could be white privilege, because historically speaking, most people in generational wealth in America are white folks, right? So if you're looking at that and you're looking to see, like, you can have somebody that's very, very talented, but still won't be put in a position of power or a position of influence or gain economic might or have generational wealth because because they don't have access to those circles versus somebody that does. When we find out that George Bush Jr. had shitty grades yet got into Yale and becomes, one of the 2 people a year that gets chosen to go into Skull and Bones, which ends up being, the secret society for the movers and shakers of both civil and political society in America.
That's the whole thing.
You know what I can say about dumb people, though? People with low IQ? They're not talking about shit like this.
Well,
they're not occupying their minds with what rich people are doing because they're living in the circles that they live in.
Because you're talking about Maslow's hierarchy needs. You can't reflect on shit that's going on, the bigger picture shit, when your gut is hungry and you're worried that your phone bill is not going to get paid, you're worried your electricity might get cut off, or worse yet, you're worried that you might get put
in power is not going to bring a paycheck home.
Who pays you?
Me?
No. You're exclusively almost like.
Because I was gonna say me.
You're incarcerated to folks in power.
We all are.
Okay, no, but who makes the choice?
We don't. What, like? See, that's what I'm saying. That's an irrelevant.
But it is. Listen, even if you're looking at this idea of what we look at intellectualism in society, it's still intellectualism in society isn't something that's really being celebrated. That's not celebrated as a whole.
That's not true. That's changing.
It's everything for the most part. Is there's a parallel between success, what you can monetize, what makes money, and what's considered to have intrinsic value in society.
Those things are constantly changing.
Those things,
because music was not, like, in terms of how popular it is now, it is nowhere near.
But music is only popular because it makes the 1/3 of the 1% wealthy. It's not like. Really?
I don't know if that's true.
None of us, for the most part.
I think music.
So the great equalizer that we might be able to argue is social media platforms, right? That we all of a sudden have access to music that we would have never have heard. But the truth is that if
MySpace changed the game, man. So many bands.
Napster did.
Napster did. But if
MySpace was
the free Napster.
Yeah. If you're still looking, you look at the number one music in America. The number one music in America is hip hop music, right? There's the themes that are celebrated and resonated throughout hip hop music are exclusively tied to the American dream. They're exclusively heavily branded. They're exclusively.
What is wrong with that?
Well, you're telling me that music is something that's in its free form, just music, and I'm telling you no. That actually,
I'm saying music is a creative expression not tied down to families or generational wealth. Jay-Z's a billionaire now, and it's not because his fucking great uncle was.
If I'm an A&R, right? And even if we're looking at Jay-Z being a billionaire, which I think is very relevant to the conversation because he's a billionaire now, right? It's still to know that Jay-Z in the bigger picture of things. This is something that Damon Dash talked about.
Yeah, sure.
You know who Damon Dash is?
Man, maybe fucking
Bill
Gates
is
nothing compared to God.
Do you know who Damon Dash is?
No.
Damon Dash is the guy that founded Rockefeller Music with Jay-Z back in the day. He said recently...
What's his net worth?
He's... not as much as Jay-Z, but a couple $100 million.
Okay.
So
he didn't get completely screwed or anything.
No, but he said just so everybody know, so to having a conversation like this one, he says, "Hey, I want to let you guys know about the real world, the world that you don't see." And he's talking about when Jay-Z and he's talking about when Sean Puffy and him used to go in rooms of what he called the elite, and that they were kissing hands and kissing asses.
Name me what
does Jay-Z
ass I need to kiss,
publishing
and I will fucking do
whoever originally signed him does. I mean,
yeah, and Michael Jackson owned the Beatles' work too. I don't.
Which he did for.
There's levels to this shit.
Yeah, but most artists don't own their publishing rights. You're also listen. Another thing that you can't, if there's going to be transparency of what it is that we're talking about, you got to talk about the radio airwaves, how they're controlled. Who has access to be on the radio, who doesn't have access to be on the radio, and
which is why the internet is the great
equalizer.
But even with the internet, you're still like.
I know, it comes back to my point of nothing's perfect.
But even when you look at someone like Tekashi was internet sensation, right? But when it became time for him to make it, before all this shit came out with his
Yeah, but he's low level though.
Well, what did he do?
He's talking about like $2 or $3
Tekashi
million.
signed. All these guys signed. All these guys. You act like there's you act like there's a lot of free roaming men out there that aren't signed to the labels.
I never said any of this.
Well, I'm saying
no. Wait.
Wait, who's the guy who's?
I think you should take all of that out of putting that on me, because all I'm saying is that they can generate money.
They can generate money, but when it comes,
who gives a fuck?
But when it comes time for them, when it comes time for them to get into the real money.
No, but hold on. Who gives a fuck?
Tekashi's only worth, I think, was like
a
couple million.
I don't really know where you're going anymore, but when it comes time to getting the real money, it had nothing to do with music. At that point, it has to do with assets.
In the game.
In the game, you cannot, like anything else.
Didn't Jay-Z make most of his money from product sales? Like when he started selling
Probably
beats
from clothes and
clothing. I mean, not from beats. It was from clothing. It was from.
But there was a bunch of
producer fees.
Part
There's
of
a bunch
nets.
of things. There's a bunch of
being
married to Beyonce.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that, but yeah, sure. I don't. But
that might not be on.
But when you're looking at, it's like the same thing too. It's like Jay-Z still doesn't own the arenas that he plays in.
He don't need to own the arenas.
Jay-Z.
Do you want him to own an arena?
When you're looking at, listen. When you're looking at what Clearwater is.
Well, wait.
When you look at what Clearwater is publicly
traded in every city in the.
When you look at what Clearwater is publicly traded as.
Clearwater is what now?
The radio station.
Yeah, no, they just bought 103. They put their fucking Christian shit on.
Okay, but when you're looking at the extension of power, when Clearwater is so powerful that they go to Bill Clinton in the 1990s and they have them deregulate the way that politics is being discussed on the radio. Right? You're talking about, you're not, we're looking at.
Hold on. Is Jay-Z's money any less green because he doesn't?
Jay-Z's not even in the conversation with Clearwater.
No,
put him on the side. Jay-Z's he's an ant.
You're bringing up conglomerates, and it's like, yeah, we can keep going, and General Electric, and like all these.
No, we're not.
Yes, there's fucking like
so
5 or 6 people own the world. But what's your point?
Something that I can honestly say, which everybody should be okay with, is that you're looking at someone like the Koch brothers. And then you're looking at Jay-Z, and we're talking about political influence and social influence. And I'll give it to Jay-Z with social influence. We're talking about political influence. We're talking about having the money to go out there to change laws, to mandate laws, to change legislation, to put people in office, right? I mean,
if that's your goal.
If power is
if that's your goal.
A narcotic, my man Jay-Z is
after you have money. What's next to get? You know,
no,
you want
you're
power,
talking.
you want to be able to
you're
control what happens.
I'm saying
in the world.
you're saying
Maybe.
Everybody.
Can you name me the top 10 most rich people in the world?
I'm gonna be.
Like
I'll be honest with you.
The
list that we get. It's like the doesn't.
Can you name? Okay, yeah. There's.
It doesn't include like
wait.
Russian oligarchs that are actually.
I don't ever believe in the list that we get.
It doesn't include Putin. It doesn't include Saudi. It does. Okay, but can you name me
like the Medici family? You know what that family was?
Let me take a step back then. Can you
in the 16th century?
Can you name me 10 billionaires?
Yeah.
That are not named Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, fucking Warren Buffett. You know the known ones.
Because there's all. The first 5 Waltons.
No. Besides the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who the rich people are. You don't.
Okay,
even
so basically, name me any billionaires that aren't on Forbes, because like
that's sort of what I mean.
That are on Forbes, but they're just not the big guys that everybody knows.
But that's sort of what I'm saying here. That's what I'm saying about. Sorry, that's what I'm saying about Kobe. Everyone is looking at Kobe as the 28th most wealthiest man in Orange County. The 28th.
But what does that matter? Why is that such
because
an important point of contention?
No, I know what you mean, because we idolize only the media,
Who is we?
We is the
just people that
you guys, I guess, because I've never fucking. I look at that as he has way more money than me, and I would be very happy living his lifestyle until I get his lifestyle, and then I want more.
No, but you're talking. Here's what I'm talking.
No, but like let's talk about
back to my Damon Dash
where
shit.
They think it's only like.
Back to what I said about Damon Dash. Damon Dash is telling me that Puffy. Billionaire, Jay-Z billionaire.
Like I said,
Damon Dash,
who the
hundreds
ass
of millions
I need
of
to
dollars.
Kiss, and I will kiss it.
They're kissing a bunch of asses.
Tell me what ass I need to kiss.
You know who Lyor Cohen is?
No.
Okay, so
but you name dropping doesn't change my opinion about
Lyor Cohen is they call him the tall Israeli.
Given name is Lyor?
Lyor. They call him the tall Israeli in hip hop, right? Mos Def had the song which they made him take off the album because he basically just said one line in the song, The Takeover, which is the tall Israeli is running this rap shit. Like So
Didn't
let me
LeBron
go.
James recently like do something? He made an Instagram story or something regarding this song. I remember there was some story, and they made him take it down. And he said something that was perceived as anti-Semitic or something about Israelis.
Well, that's what thing. But not even talking about the tall Israelis.
Okay, I don't have enough background. Why had to take it down?
Why Lyor Cohen is relevant? Besides being one of the founding people behind Def Jam, it's also that most artists that have hip hop and social influence. I mean, all the way from Run DMC to Tribe Called Quest to who's my man that wears a skirt and raps? What's his name? I don't know. One of the Lil Uzi Vert, I think. Anyways, I don't know the music that well, but Lyor Cohen is behind the scenes, telling these guys he's making decisions on what it is that he's going to put out there, what themes are going to generate with the public, what their lyrics should be about, and Lupe Fiasco, who he had signed at the time. Lupe was pretty adamant. It came out and said, Lyor Cohen is telling me that my album isn't hood enough, isn't street enough, isn't talking about these things that we know aren't good for society. Came out and they'd never released Lupe Fiasco, Kick Push. They never released his shit afterwards. So we're talking about this. We're talking about the consumer of hip hop music right now is for the most part white America. That's who's consuming hip hop music. You're also talking about this.
I think that's fucking full of shit.
Oh no, the number one music in America.
It's true.
The number
it's
one.
True.
No.
Did you ever go to white college parties?
I am not fucking gonna.
The number one. The number one. Okay, so
you ever go to white college parties?
Listen,
yes, I went to USC.
Listen, let me.
And what were they playing on the radio?
But there's also
stereo?
fucking. Well, you're talking about two different things here.
No, we're only talking about black folks make up less than 17% of the population in America.
Yeah, okay.
It's
so
the number one music in America.
Include the fucking Mexicans then.
It's the number one.
Include the fucking. Include the beans.
We'll include the Latinos. But
include the Asian kids.
Include rice.
Include the fucking Korean kids who are appropriating all of this shit.
Okay, but you're also talking about
harder than any other race.
You're also talking about something that I think is.
I'm not talking about shit.
No.
I'm talking about the fact that I'm not going to subscribe. That everything's white and everything's race and fucking
I will tell you this.
everything's divided.
I am talking about this. I'm talking about a taboo that still exists because people would get to have some sort of form of ghetto voyeurism where they get to get in their car and their BMW
you want to put
and
that
drive,
you want to
and
put
drive
that
through,
label on it.
drive,
That's why.
drive throughout suburban communities.
Because there's nothing
and
wrong with enjoying the music of another culture.
Listen to Meek Mill and pretend that
what
it would be like to be from that.
What is wrong?
Then
with
why
that?
are they not doing it with rodeo shit?
What is wrong with that?
Then why is it not happening with country music? Why doesn't it happen
what's not
throughout
happening with country music?
I don't think that nobody.
There's absolutely some fucking southern black rednecks.
No. I'm talking about.
Something's happening right now with country music.
I'm talking about people from economic areas that are doing great. I don't think that anybody is putting on. Anybody is banging that whatever.
Old Town Road?
Yeah, Old Town Road with the windows going, damn, I wonder what it would be like to live this life and rope me up a bull.
I'm so lost, bro.
How are you lost on this conversation?
What is the issue with listening to
because
music?
When Lyor Cohen, when you got a guy...
Hold on. What is wrong with listening to music from a culture that is not your own?
Nothing. But when you...
I listen to corridos.
Here's something to be very logical and pragmatic. If the majority of folks that just by definition, still, you keep on talking about Latinos, but Latinos still aren't the number one people in America. White folks still hold that.
I didn't say that.
Okay,
but you're
from
limiting the
So
conversation.
the champion of the world is
so white folks are buying this music. They can listen to. You think they're going to listen to pro-black nationalists like let's get our shit together music? What
artists are doing that?
No, they're not getting sold.
You're not listening to me. They're not. Lyor Cohen, the guy that pulls the strings, has had riffs with public artists.
I don't know.
Where they're coming out and they're saying this guy's not putting my music out there because he doesn't like the message that I'm coming with.
So where's the
because
punk
it's not street enough. It's not hood enough.
Hip hop.
It's not street.
It
doing it
exists,
themselves.
and people are listening. To
It's
that.
not.
Just tell me what it is.
Have you ever
not
seen?
making money.
You never seen video footage of some of these rappers, like some of the Bumble rappers before, like when they first start rapping, the way they're articulating themselves, versus and then when they start to make it, like the sentences are incoherent because why? Because they're being like Bumble rap is being
mumble rap, right?
Yeah, mumble, it's being rewarded, right? It's not like
Yeah, because they're also on the fucking scissor shit. That's the whole. That's the part of the whole culture of that.
because man, to really
Drugs,
listen,
fucking not giving a fuck, Lil Xan, like.
Okay.
That's literally what that culture is.
but how's that any different from some minstrel shit that was going down?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, so
I'm not the one with the problem
so
with this.
basically,
You are.
basically, who was paying for the minstrel show back in the 1920s, back in the 30s?
You tell me.
Well, I can tell you, sure, white folks with money were. They're the ones that were defining it, for sure.
Okay, that's
so
great.
how's
And
it?
they're also funding boxing.
So what you're saying
So-
is,
so
what
how
you're
is it-
saying
Two
is-
black-
hold on, what you're
How's
saying
it? How's
Children
it?
of
How's it
fighting,
any
so-
different today when you got a Lyor Cohen that is in a position of power that says, "Hey, I'm not going to put you on because you might have politically conscious lyrics, or you might have socially conscious lyrics, or you might have lyrics that align with black nationalism or some sort of black pride," and that isn't something I think is going to resonate with my audience. Who just if you look at concerts today, just keeping it real, you look at who's out in these concerts to watch these artists. It's a bunch of young white faces that you see, and they also don't get to what? They also don't have this moment of social taboo, of ghetto voyeurism, where they get to go listen to this other music.
So let me get this straight. What you're saying is every single black artist today owes all of their success to white people, and as a matter of fact, should be indebted to them because they only have their places where they're at right now because of white people.
I think that
No. Answer that question.
I think it's marketable to white people because they want to hear that exciting ghetto-ness, but they don't want to hear we should rise up and have black
Do
unity.
black artists owe all of their success to white people? Is that what you're
black
saying?
do black artists owe success to white people?
No, all of their success.
All of their success to white people. We're looking at this. Let me think about this. I want to be honest with you.
Snoop Dogg played at K-Rock on Saturday.
Yeah.
At the Wiener Roast.
Because if you say anything other than yes, then
No,
your whole
no.
argument becomes invalid.
No,
because that's
I
all
want
you're trying to
I want
preach
to
right now.
be honest with this. To be honest with this, that you have without the consumption of white America by black artists, they certainly wouldn't have had
So black people don't support their own.
They wouldn't have made. Nah, you jump all over the place.
I'm not.
You say like the most antagonistic shit.
No,
like,
it's not. It's not.
So you're like saying yada yada. You can get an honest response from me. So black people don't respond. No. Black folks don't have money like white America does to fill up big ass stadiums to watch black acts. That's just the truth.
So black
folks
all
don't,
sold out then.
Black people
all
could,
sold out. They're
for
all
the
sellouts.
most part, black folks couldn't afford to buy $350 to $1,000 Yeezys. There's some black folks do, but not necessarily the amount of people that have an abundance of wealth can go out there and cop Yeezys.
They can still fucking manage to buy Jordans.
Okay.
You can still
Jordans
go down to the fucking Section 8 housing and see
Jordans
fucking
are $160.
cars that are worth more than the whole housing block.
If we're talking about, we're just being honest here. It's also another thing too to know what capitalism is, to know how it is that your perspective of making it in America. It's a perspective that is limited to a perception that you have no control of. When you look at if you and I were to go to the Jordan Downs right now, if we're going to go to Nickerson Gardens and we're going to look at the
These are neighborhoods where?
These are housing projects in Watts. And we're gonna go look at the cars that are in these communities in housing projects. You might be right. There might be some
I am.
There
right.
might be
You
some
know
cars and whips, but it's not the norm. The truth is that for every one car that might be, for every Lexus I might see, maybe I see somebody that has a Land Cruiser that's swooped up, I'm gonna see 6 or 8 cars that look like shit. So I don't know why. And then it's another thing too. It's
and for every one of those cars, there's like
it's another thing too. Like to imagine
bus passes.
that you're in an economic place. My friend who won a Grammy for producing Kendrick Lamar's album.
He owes his success to white
Okay,
people.
his name is Taz Arnold. I haven't talked to him in a while, but Taz and I are having a conversation. He had a Rolex back in the day. I know that Taz, when he had this Rolex, was having a difficult time like making money at this time before he made it. He had worked on the Dre album, but this is what Taz said to me. I said, Taz, why do you have that Rolex when like I know that you barely had $20 in your pocket?
Perception is everything.
He said, because white folks take me serious when I walk in the room with this watch. And so you're also saying, so you're also not, we're not being,
So
we're not
he
being,
bent the knee to white person.
we're not being honest about even what it, feeling good, looking good, being good, like what it is, the norm that you live up to in the Western world. That norm that you're trying to subscribe to is always a norm of of that perception of whiteness. Making it in America isn't making it in America until you live in. That's what Chris Rock talks about. Chris Rock talks about that him and Mary J. Blige and I think Reverend Run all live in this community in New Jersey, and we all know their names, but they just live in a community of white doctors and white lawyers and white dentists, because them making it in America
It's thanks to white people.
is living in a community where you could just be, you're just there with just some white dentists. So it isn't. So when you're talking about wealth,
Maybe if that's what you want.
you're talking
You
about
could also live in
wealth, and you're
Colorado
talking about.
by yourself.
I know, but you're talking about black folks, and you're talking about
No,
wealth.
you didn't answer the question. I
What
asked
is
you,
the question?
Does every single black artist who's successful owe all of their success to white people?
Man, it's like when Kendrick Lamar. There's a moment where Kendrick Lamar invites a white girl onto stage.
I heard this.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she
I've
didn't,
seen it.
and then she decided to say the N-word
Right.
when he was prompted, which she has every fucking right to. Because
Okay,
he
do
set her up.
do I believe that there's a hypocrisy in Kendrick Lamar, and maybe there's a moment of realization for Kendrick too, because that moment of realization I can imagine is Kendrick up on that stage and looking out in that crowd, and thinking like, oh, wait a minute.
She wasn't supposed to do this.
Who's celebrating my music? Who's singing my music?
What the fuck is wrong with that?
It's like the song what's it, Waterfalls? What's it called?
I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe it has more to. I think
Kendrick Lamar's song.
black folks
Swimming
are
Pools.
listening to his music too, but they're just not.
Kendrick
affording
Lamar's
concert tickets.
swimming pool
They're going
song.
to the fucking concert.
Swimming pool
They're
song
going to the
is
concert.
is but you don't
there's
have
a ton of white people at that concert.
there's
Absolutely. Coachella is a perfect example of that.
Okay, but Swimming Pools is a
Coachella's
song, was Kendrick's first single that was pretty popular, right? You're looking at that single, most people thought that, wake up, drink. Yeah, I can't remember that, but
that song, yeah.
yeah, most people think it's about
Even Garrity knows.
but
I've heard it. It was on a couple of really popular.
I'm listening.
But most
Lines
people,
at the time.
most people think that song is about getting fucked up. But that song really is addressing as people in these areas that are
Coping with your life.
coping
using
mechanism,
using alcohol to fall
using
asleep,
alcohol,
to
using drugs because
get you through the day.
because somebody's dying, because people are getting shot, because you're in this shit, because there is no economic opportunity. So when Kendrick Lamar makes it, and he certainly doesn't make it until he
So
gets.
white people subscribe to
I
him.
mean, yeah. To be honest with you,
So, yes. is
white
your
folks
answer?
definitely are the vessel of making it in America. When white people start gobbling up your shit, yeah, you're gonna
So
make it.
But all black artists owe everything to white
But
people.
at whose cost? At whose cost? If you're in Lyor Cohen's position,
You keep talking about him, but there's other artists that
Okay.
are not under his umbrella.
okay, man,
And is that not right?
real simple. We got like
Does he only do rap or does he do all
no,
music?
he just only does rap.
There's
So-
certain things that I can't talk
So
about.
so there's only
on
two
air
there's only two
that we would agree with
two or three
because I just can't.
rappers that have a political message. Kendrick Lamar.
I'm listening.
Who's the other guy that's kind of
I remember people used to talk about Immortal Technique, but I haven't heard from him in a long time.
no. Who's the guy that's kind of that went to a very good school? Can't remember his name. Damn, you can't remember.
No.
But there's only like two or three conscious rappers out there that are talking about.
Common?
That are
No, not
also
Common.
popular.
But
So there's
Common
plenty
didn't-
of
Common didn't-
political
Common didn't-
conscious
Common
rap.
didn't-
No, but I'm not thinking about
No,
Common.
there isn't.
He's a
I'm sure, but there's not really, really
Oh no,
popular,
there's a bunch of
really
people
rich.
that a bunch
Yeah.
of
the Most Def?
No, most Def didn't make it like that either though.
Nas? I'm trying to think of like lyricists, like the ones you're known for, like that are more.
I can't remember the dude's names. Light skinned cat from the South or from the Midwest.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I could probably look him up. Shit.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
Just one of his hits, you know, one of his hits?
nah, I don't listen to this hip hop like that anymore. But the thing is that I got two models. You can be a rapper that's talking about the trap, or you be a rapper that's talking about shit that is really relevant to your people, to your folks, to societal.
And the
issues.
trap is what?
The trap is
Like selling drugs and doing all that.
Yeah,
Okay.
the drugs.
The whole...
That's where you sell the drugs at.
Okay.
So like, one of them we know like is gonna make you money fairly quickly. The other one, like for the most part, isn't gonna get a bunch of like, giggling, young white girls to celebrate your music and a bunch of frat guys that think that they're cool.
But that's the way. That's for everything, though.
Okay.
If you want to make money, you got to sell yourself out.
So dude,
The amount of people
it isn't for everything
the
because
amount of people who
give me an
don't-
example where black folks do it with white folks. I'm gonna shut up.
What do you mean?
Where are black?
No, just expand on
okay.
what
When are
your
black
question
folks appropriating white music culture And when are they voring into like? When do they get to have like this field trip where they listen to their shit and they act like they're not having cowboy parties and they're not having like? Or let me know.
Well,
maybe y'all know some shit.
I'm not trying to go against you, but one may make the argument that currently with Old Town Road, that new song.
No, if you're in this, if you're in Texas or in some parts of the South, without a shadow of a doubt that those cultures crisscross, where you can absolutely, with the shadow of a doubt, see black people or other colored folk square dancing.
For sure.
Now, that's not what you asked, though.
I'm talking about where do you see when we're looking at how the way that
how many black artists can you name genuinely in general play instruments? Prince.
But even
no, hold on. But like most, I'm not. Then that's not degrading them.
But you gotta,
I'm saying
you gotta think about outside your.
What other music genres are we talking about?
But you also gotta be
all of jazz.
Jazz is 100% African American.
But you also gotta be very, very, very savvy here, right? You gotta think here. So you're talking about black artists within the last 20 or 30 years don't play instruments. I think it's pretty.
I didn't fucking say that.
Well, I think this we can.
I'm talking about in the history. I'm saying who's.
You're also talking about
music that's not fucking hip hop and rap in the black community right now.
But you're talking about areas that. Depraved of resources, particularly school programs that would teach them instruments in areas of lower socioeconomic strata.
Okay, so you basically answered your own point.
I mean, I'm just saying that if we're going to say, oh well, black folks aren't playing doing anything besides hip hop. That's not what I asked. I asked you to say.
But they did blues, they did rock and roll, they did.
Yeah, what is the example?
If this was in 1918,
jazz,
100 years ago, you'd be going down to New Orleans to steal all their shit.
What is the example of black folks appropriating white music? Let me know.
I don't know what the relevance is.
There hasn't been. I can't think of one. Rock and roll came from blues.
What's the
jazz?
What's the relevance?
The relevance is that one time blues too was considered a social taboo.
Yeah, and it didn't make money then, and it still doesn't fucking make money now.
No, blues started to make money for
Elvis.
No, but there was a point where blues artists are making money because you had black artists at that time that were performing in white clubs.
Right. So after their set was done.
But we're also talking. There's something to be said in America, which is just very not very hurtful, but very much the truth, is that you're not going to be successful unless you have the consent of white America. And back to this
goes back to pay-per-view numbers like we've talked about in boxing.
Back to some minstrel shit. White folks particularly like to get their black culture with a specific lens and a specific perspective and a specific image, right? That is like, I don't see it's in it. Lyor Cohen and basically says, hey, I don't want you to rap about anything that.
Yeah, but we live in the day and age where you don't need to subscribe to that anymore. You can throw your shit up on Spotify.
Then why is it? But when you're talking about, you're being totally disrespectful to the themes that have been resonating now for centuries.
Absolutely.
You're acting like, we live in a day and age.
Yes, we do.
So where is the intellectual black rapper? So it's Kendrick and the other guy, I can't remember his name.
Am I fucking the one who's making rappers rap? Am I the one saying, hey, listen to Lyor so you can be rich?
Because I'm not going to be a liar. I'm going to keep it real with you. White folks aren't going to want to listen to an intellectual black rapper because he's probably going to say some stuff that hurts their feelings.
So whose choice?
And so they'd rather go to some trap music shit, or they'd rather go listen to some shit that they can play at the fraternity or sorority house, and it makes them feel like they're on a field trip.
Do you blame the creator, or do you blame the people who are listening to the music?
I honestly, it's as long as you have something
because
like
someone has. It takes two to kiss an ass.
You
need the ass and you need the lips.
Listen, this is
all. If you fucking take the lips out, that ass is gonna become unkissed. No. You bring up Lyor Cohen. You keep bringing him up.
But
it's the paper. It's the money. Well, they don't give a fuck. That's why they're so willing to do the rappers that you're talking about.
But who controls that?
So who are you blaming?
Who controls it?
Who's the real fault here?
Okay.
Is it the guy at top or the one who's fucking kissing ass?
During the emergence of hip hop in the 1990s, do you know what X-Clan is?
Oh, hold on.
No. Do you know what X-Clan is?
Do you know what X-Clan is? The guy who kisses the ass or that guy who presents the ass?
Okay. Do you think the taste? We're talking about rats and roaches. We're talking about bacon and eggs. We're talking about cigarettes. We're talking about
What's raps and roaches?
Right, I know, and you want to blame white people
No,
for
no, no,
everything.
no. I'm
And
not
so
blaming
when
white
saying
people. I'm
that
not blaming white people.
you gotta blame the rappers
I'm being
too.
very logical. At the end of the day, let me tell you what would happen. There's been songs.
They wouldn't make money.
There's been songs on the radio that we've heard
Yeah.
that we know, like, hey, like this song sucks, but they continue to play it, and all of a sudden it's number one.
Who listens to the radio anymore?
Okay.
First of all.
I mean, damn, dude, you're like the devil's advocate over here.
But
It's not because it's fucking. I'm living
But
in
now,
2019.
but now there's no radio.
This
But
isn't
there's still
1978.
there's still
this
labels.
Isn't 1988. This
But
is
there's still labels that can
1998.
push. They can push their priority on
Hardly-
Spotify.
On
Okay.
Spotify, yeah, but you
Okay.
get to choose.
Because you can use an algorithm to suggest.
That's not
stuff
what I'm
to
saying.
people.
That's not what I'm saying.
So there's
It's-
still
you're
an
being
element
di-
of the labels
being
that-
you're being dismissive of something. You're being dismissive of the fact is that most music that ends up that we hear has been consented by.
Most music that you hear.
Oh my God. Okay, the fucking general populace as a whole. 99.99% of the motherfuckers in the United States of America, most music that they hear, those motherfuckers,
Yeah.
including me, right?
Yeah.
They are listening to music that has been consented by
Why
powers
are you
that
listening
be.
to it then?
That you're going down. I can't talk
No,
about
it's-
0.1%. I could talk about 99% of
0.1. I
society.
asked you who's
I don't
first.
give a shit about 0.1% because that doesn't really do anything. I could talk about what's relevant to the 99%. 99% of the problem is this: is that I do believe that if
99% doesn't give a fuck.
I
'cause the music's
do
good.
believe
That's
I
the
do
real-
believe
that's
this.
the
I believe
reality.
that if music that their response that they know that white America won't have the social taboo of hearing. You have kids. Listen, Malik Scott, fighter I used to train, 6'6", North Philadelphia, weighed 220 pounds, has tattoos up and down his arms, tattoos on his neck, tattoos, all over his body, shaved head, heavyweight, lean at the time, fought for the heavyweight title, is in the car with me. We're in the car, we're driving through a city called Laguna Niguel. I'll never forget it. I'm in the car, windows are down. This car comes up on the side of me. It's an Audi A4. Inside of that Audi A4 is 4 dudes. They all look like mixed race. Remember 2 of them look white and 2 of them might have looked Persian or something. They're pumping that Meek Mill, just like pumping that shit. Loud as fuck. I'm sitting there in the car. Malika looks over like this. I look over like this. All of a sudden, all windows go up and the music goes down. In that moment, I think to myself, Malik and I talked about it. We're like, first of all, we're listening to Meek Mill inside the gym. When that Meek Mill shit cracked, we were listening to it every day in the gym. But
Meek Mill's kind of what type of music though?
Wait, hold on.
No, but
I'm not,
but
I
in that
interrupt you. I wanna know
moment,
what your point is.
in that moment, we realized. I said, dude, I don't understand how these guys are comfortable to have their windows
Right.
down.
In Laguna, there's no threat.
But all of a sudden they see somebody that's actually from North Philadelphia. He's from the same city as Meek Mill. Has people that he knows that mess with Meek Mill. But they see a real black guy with tattoos, a real reflection of what North Philadelphia is. And they do what? They're not comfortable all of a sudden to scream because they were all singing to the lyrics. And they just kill the noise. They kill the music. Because at that moment, because it's fucking a goddamn field trip for them.
Yeah.
Because they get to go fucking listen to the music in areas like Laguna Niguel, and they get to act like it's a fucking field trip to them, and it's social taboo, and it's like, Mom, look what I'm listening to behind da da da, and can you believe that this rapper said this? Can you believe that rapper said that? And they're monetizing that, and anybody that tells me anything differently is all full of shit. And the Lyor Cohen's. So I would challenge you to find.
Bro, I fucking turn my fucking metal music down if I have my windows down and I'm out of corner.
God,
because
dude.
No, it's not.
Dude.
Oh my God, because you have parents who don't fucking teach them that it's okay to listen to music like that.
So if you're so irrational that you can't see that they turn the music down because he was black, because he looks like he's from North Philly,
or maybe I am not willing to go 100% with you because I was not in the car with you. I don't know the fucking circumstances, and I'm willing to give. That's why I didn't interrupt you at all because I was willing to see where you were going with this. And you know what? Maybe it's true. Maybe there is a fucking stigma. Maybe it's because there's a black guy.
Let me ask you. You went to school in Compton.
Yeah.
Right? We know that Compton is the hood, right?
Well, I mean, it's not as bad as it was, but yeah.
But yeah, Compton's the hood, right?
And it's Mexican too.
Okay.
Now.
So if I take some guy from South Orange County that's fucking with that blue face, or he's listening to Nipsey Hussle right now, right? And he's singing these lyrics every day in South Orange County. He's singing them in San Diego or whatever. and he's singing them outside. He's singing them in his car.
There's a bunch of white boys that are listening to that right
You
now.
think
They got cool after he died.
You think that if I put him on the blue line, right, to Compton, that they're gonna like? We see black folks every. We go to the blue line right now.
Okay, go.
We go to the blue line right now. I guarantee within 20 minutes I can find someone that's singing out lyrics out loud with their headphones on. So you think I'm taking these white folks that are
No,
from?
they're not using headphones. They're just straight from the phone.
You think I take these folks and I put them on the blue line from those areas, and they're gonna sing that shit in front of black folks or in front of Mexican folks?
Okay, let me.
Bullshit.
Wait.
They won't. It's on a fucking field trip.
Wait, let me.
Bottom line.
Let me ask you something. What would happen if they did?
No
No implications or anything.
Honestly,
I'm
I don't think.
asking.
Maybe laughed at. Maybe
I don't think anybody would
users.
even give a fuck, because you know what they're gonna assume? They're gonna assume, just like I assume, like if I'm on the blue line and I see a white dude that's singing that shit out loud, I just assume, oh well, he must be from here.
I don't know too many people fucking singing out loud. I'm sorry.
Oh, bro, well, you've never been on that damn blue line, have you? I mean, they sing out loud all the goddamn line. I mean, but I'm talking about, or like he said, this having music playing out loud, like.
I just feel like you're fucking getting very specific, like small examples, and like avoiding the question.
The question is
who's fucking.
The truth is, they're on a field trip. I do think that's true.
Okay, now we're on field trips, but the fucking conversation was about
because
who do you blame? The guy who kisses the ass or the guy who presents the ass? What is it?
Well, no, there isn't an ass.
You haven't answered these questions
Let's
yet.
define the ass. It isn't an ass. We're talking.
It's Lyor fucking whatever his name is. It isn't an ass.
It isn't an ass.
It's the people in the room that Jay-Z was kissing.
It's a pot of gold that you only get access to.
So then what are the people?
If you play by those.
What
So what I asked you is, did you know who X Clan was? Which you don't, right?
No.
Okay, you definitely did. You
the rapper?
Brand Nubian.
No.
You know who Tribe is, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Tribe, yeah.
Poor Righteous Teachers. De La.
We're not as cool as you, Trevor.
No, we're talking about. No, it's not as cool as me. We're talking about an era in the '90s that had a lot of pro-black music, even Public Enemy, which we all should know, right? That this era in the '90s was very pro-black. Yeah. This transition, right? That something happened though. Right? It was making money.
It was commercialized in that point.
No, it wasn't.
Napster came and then everything got...
it's not that Napster came, man. It's like, listen.
The 90s was Napster.
Listen, if you're talking about, if you have a black message that's coming out of this music that's talking about autonomy, is talking about not being part of the system, not buying brands, not adhering to this and being responsible, like fatherly, yada yada yada, look after, right? Then you have another thing that says, fuck it, let's drink some, let's get some codeine. We're gonna drink some syrup. We're gonna do some drugs, and we're also gonna buy some Versace, some Hermes, and roll a Bentley.
It's kind of like
one of them is very beneficial for cycles of capitalism.
You know what else?
That one is. So if I'm a white A&R or whatever, and I'm looking, and I know that I'm a publicly traded company, and I'm not just a publicly traded company. I'm part of a series of different publicly traded companies because of the way that the breakdowns happen with the amount of control of how, you end up saying, how does Dove soap, and how does, Johnson and Johnson, and how is it
that's fucking stretching. I don't even know what your argument is.
You never seen this map of how basically all these companies are intertwined?
I had said that earlier. You have General Electric. It's like literally conglomerates.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's like six media companies.
So one of them equates into more possibilities. If I'm looking at capitalism as a cylinder that I could fill up with water, one of them equates to more possibilities of capitalization, right? Of capital being made, which is a message of consumption, which is exclusively tied to something that isn't pro-black or black nationalism or conscience, like, and that why, of course they would say, well, if I'm going to pump this up, this also makes money for Italian brands. This also makes money for sports cars. Also makes money for just, okay. So you keep on saying whose ass is to kiss. You act like
I didn't say that.
You act like black.
Who's responsible?
So you're basically telling me
for the sellout.
Take Killer Mike. Killer Mike is doing a good thing because Killer Mike is trying to bring some of these
absolutely
call some of these things. You got a Netflix deal,
and he knows by what he's doing, he'll never be Jay-Z.
But he'll never be Jay-Z. It's Jay-Z,
and luckily he doesn't want to be.
Jay-Z had
a great job.
Jay-Z had a line in a rap song that says if he could, he'd rap like Common.
Yeah, but he knows.
But guess what? He says money. He couldn't because he had to get the money, right?
At least
So-
he's coming to some realization.
you're
having some
proving
sort
my
of-
point.
But it isn't like you act like there's autonomy here. You act like black folks have a choice. They don't.
They do.
He's just telling you if he could, he would rap like Common, but that doesn't make.
But
him
he doesn't.
money.
But he wants to make money.
Okay.
That's a choice.
So who?
You could be a
But
fucking bum on the
but
streets, or you
the
could be a
label
billionaire.
could have perhaps would have dropped his.
Could have, but that's not the game that
Okay.
we're living in.
That,
You
you-
play
But that's
by the
maybe
game.
that's maybe his.
It's a game
being
to
cut.
it's not a game to black folks because the truth is that these messages
It's a
that
game for Jay-Z because
yo
he's
listen
playing it.
these messages that resonate in music, particularly that gangster rap and trap music. No, that means that more black life gets taken. That means more incarceration. That means that you're doubling down on the prison industrial complex. That means that more people are going to be particularly could be victims of violent crime. That means that there's more criminalization of black men. That means that there's more kids out of wedlock because of promiscuity that's being expressed in this shit. So no, it's a game
So
to.
you're agreeing with
It's
the-
a game
you're
to.
agreeing
It's a
with the
game.
Republican
It's
rhetoric
a game.
rap.
It's a game to everybody else, but
So
it's
you
certainly
agree,
not a game.
You agree with the
I saw-
Republican rhetoric of rap music.
Just because,
That rap music is a nuisance on society.
man, it isn't at one point.
If it is,
a nuisance on
if it is,
society
he's
propagated by white people who are in charge.
Well, listen.
That's what you're saying.
What's funny is that
No, is that what you're saying?
no.
I think you're saying that the puppet strings want to pull it that way, right? They want
That
to prevent you.
that rap is out without a shadow of a doubt a nuisance to society that's been propagated by those who pull the
No,
strings.
rap music when rap music starts, it actually starts because there wasn't music for the people. There was a lot of politics involved in it. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of like pro-nationalism. There's a lot of black identity that's involved with Puerto Rican identity. This is the Bronx, this Boogie Down. This is Brooklyn, the Queensbridge. This is where rap starts and where it goes from.
So when does the next wave of rap come where it becomes DIY again and it changes the whole thing?
Listen,
because that's going to happen. That's how music
as long
genres
as-
will come in waves and recreate themselves.
If we're going to talk about
That's the only hopeful way out of this. Right?
Who are the princesses of capitalism? Who has an incredible amount of discretionary income to spend money on shit?
Baby boomers.
Yeah, but I'm also talking about young white girls have a lot of money to go spend money.
Oh, baby boomers' daughters, name Ashley.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby boomers' daughters, right?
Okay.
So just to be honest about how capital funnels into music, if I were to take, we're imaginary, if you and I can imagine where
Wait, I know
listen,
how it works.
If you and I can imagine that you take 100 young white girls that have the same amount of discretionary income that listen to trap music and 100 white girls
Hold
that
on,
listen to
you're
country
saying the
music,
same argument.
and we're going to measure the amount of money that they spend.
This is why
on
I asked
shoes
you if black
and
people
tickets.
owe all of their success to white people. This is why I explicitly asked
Black
that.
black
And now
people
we're
don't
going
black,
back to the
no,
same thing.
black
You
people
still
don't
haven't-
owe anything to white people. They don't. White people have done what they've consistently have done, which is to figure out, black folks are making
Figure out a way to make money
off of
black
them.
music.
Yeah, figure out how to make
But you
and
just
figure out how to
we
take
said
advantage
it-
of that.
What you just
But-
said,
but-
you
but-
just said
no, but-
consumerism is driven by the white dollar.
I mean, no, you're not listening.
But also the product is produced by black people.
Dude, I'm not telling
Right?
you.
Under the guise of white people pulling the strings.
I'm
Don't forget,
and
this
I'm
is
not.
what
I'm
Trevor
not
said.
telling you this. I'm telling you that hip hop is so beneficial for capitalism that when something that has misogynist themes in it or has forms of toxic behavior, like shit that should probably where collectively we should.
It's exciting for your boring life as you drive your 9-to-5 job that you hate. You got to hear about
Maybe.
Oh
it's exciting.
Maybe.
It's
Man,
exciting.
it's
to hear that shit.
exciting.
Maybe.
It's exciting.
Maybe. Or you just fucking like the music.
No, okay, so you tell
The
me.
same.
So why are white folks getting into narco corridos then?
I don't fucking know. Ask them. I'm not white.
I mean, so and by theory, white folks should be getting into. I'll tell you why. Because historically, the big boogeyman of society hasn't been a Mexican man. I mean, maybe new. That might be new to consciousness, but we're not talking about hundreds of years here. We're not talking about since the inception of the New World.
There is no new world because we've already rejected that.
Oh God, how do you deal with
You rejected that. You said I
Okay,
don't want my
okay.
daughter learning about this.
that? What
new world
language do
stuff.
I need to speak to you for you to see what I'm saying is true?
But what is true?
Okay,
I'm
you,
asking
we,
you
the,
questions
the
you-
inception of the New World by defined by academia and white hegemonic structures that exist today in academia. I didn't make this shit up. I didn't.
Well, first
Is
of all,
Trevor?
in
It's not Trevor.
1492,
It's
there
not
was no
Trevor
black
calling
people
it
in
the.
America.
It's not
So,
Trevor calling it the New World.
In 1492, there was no black people
Okay.
in America.
It's not. We're talking in 1492. There's
There was no black people in America.
there's black folks in America. That's
Not from slave trade. There
okay.
was not.
Okay, not from Africa.
Correct.
But there's black folks in America. Which had it no because of,
Indigenous
Really
people?
black.
no,
Indians?
yeah, they're black.
Asians,
There's
you
black.
mean?
No, there's
Asians?
black.
Is the
And there's
migration is- they're
they were
Asians.
as they've looked at.
Yes, we're all
as
Africans.
no as they looked at
We're all Africans.
transmigratory patterns
Yeah,
over
and they've
time.
gone from Siberia
They've
down.
no, much more recent than that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like if you're talking about that there was.
Where?
There was people from
They came from
there were
boats?
there were Vikings that have been to the New World to North
Vikings
America.
aren't white- are
Okay,
African.
but they've been able to find artifacts that suggest
Maybe.
that Africa. Okay, well maybe the Vikings
No,
weren't here
maybe
either.
Because we found less than
And maybe
1% of
the
anything
Polynesians weren't in Peru, and maybe they weren't in Hawaii, and maybe
We're all African.
we're just talking about science shit here. What happened in the last 1,000 years?
Yeah,
That's
and
it's just,
stuff
because
that
if we're gonna go down,
finding out
if we're
now
gonna
in
go
1,000
down.
years might be more abstract than it is right now.
If we're gonna go down your thing, you say, fine. There's no Africa. The Atlantic slave trade doesn't exist in 1492. That's what you meant to say.
That is what I said.
Okay, no.
There is no black people
Okay.
in America.
No,
that
there
you're
are
talking
black
about.
folks in America.
The black folks
in
that
America,
scare
in
people?
in North America, Latin America, and South America. There's black folks by way of Africa in America.
Can you prove that?
You know, I'm not an
'Cause
architect.
I don't know if you can
Who
tell
brought-
skin color
when
by
did they-
bones.
when did they-
I don't think bones dictate skin color.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, okay, fine. You're right. All these guys that have nothing better to do besides to go to school to get tenured to go look at
Oh, you
DNA
mean
shit.
archaeologists who just fucking dig up things?
I don't know. Yeah, those guys. Those guys.
That's not. What's the science in that?
Okay. Is he real sometimes? I'll be thinking that he's just playing. The contrarian.
Oh, I'm right here. You can talk.
I
to
feel like
me.
you're the contrarian. Listen,
No, we're having a conversation.
it isn't.
You circle more than I do, bro. You
It-
fucking circle way more than I do.
Well, who couldn't circle because everything that gets said is like no. That's a natural circle.
Because you want me to agree with everything you're
I
saying.
don't want you to-
Because
I
it
want
comes
you
out
to-
of your mouth
because-
and all of a sudden,
because-
like, you throw a statistic
because-
at me with no, like,
because
70%
because
of what?
because
70% of
we're,
what?
we're looking at things that are so obvious. Like
I know, but when I question you about the PTA and all of a sudden it's like nothing. When I say that all black people owe all their success to white people, we clammed up and you brought
no, because
fire,
because you
bring up
can't
fire.
be
Like, what does that
success.
have to-
You cannot be successful by means of what.
Why don't
Who
you just say
defines who
yes?
defines success in America?
I don't fucking know because
White
success
folks
is
do.
an abstract.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Success is abstract. We're talking about.
Well,
It is
you-
a fucking abstract.
but we've been talking about monetary success this whole conversation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's not as abstract.
Which is why I said black fucking artists owe everything to white people, and you want to
Okay.
quantify the success to something else.
because black folks can't make it in America without white folks consuming their music.
Who can?
Who can? Nobody.
Chinese people, maybe.
Well, I don't. Chinese people cannot make it. Can Chinese people come from China and make it in America? Sure, perhaps. Can Chinese people make it in music in America amongst a
know
wide
what
audience?
Chinese-
Okay,
Chinese
no,
artists.
that's
Yet
not,
to be done.
that's
We have not
that's
seen it yet,
that's
so.
not going to happen. We're
The music, yeah, they're on a different scale.
here's-
Okay, so it's not just black people then.
not just black people for
can we
what?
be equal races to everybody?
Well, I think
I'm not.
the
No,
idea is
I'm not. No.
I know you're not.
I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be.
I
Listen,
the idea is that you need a consumer base for
Listen.
any
You
level of
forget what
success
skin
in this
color
country.
you
And
are.
in this
Listen,
country,
What skin
the
color
majority is
you are.
white,
That's
so
the reality.
your
You
customers have to be
forget
white,
skin color.
right?
what is this? What's that mean?
That means that we're a part of the fucking problem too.
Okay.
It's not just black people who are down and out.
I can't. If you're
Not all you're talking about Mexicans and Latinos.
Everybody.
Not all, because not all viewers have seen Daniel. Because some people are listening on the.
Okay, so I'm saying like this. We were
I'm
talking.
saying you don't mention any other race other than black folk. It's always black and white to you. You say the world's not black and white to
because-
you. America is because there's no
Because
fucking
if
skin color. There's
we're
no
looking
shades of
at
gray.
if you're looking at
You're not being honest.
we're looking at historical things that have
Traditional.
happened.
Now we're back to traditional stuff.
We're looking at history, dude.
We live in 2019. You exist here with me.
It's in 2019.
We
We're
both
looking
exist
at history.
We're not some fucking.
What?
We're not on
What?
some island.
To be honest, to be forthcoming
Then
about
be
it.
honest.
You can't. It is not much better for black folks on the east side of Long Beach. It's not much better. It doesn't. Like it's not a good fucking. It's not a good like if you're. What do you? This is something I got to look at a 15-year-old boy that I train, young man at a Jackrabbits that's black, and I got to be worried every time that he leaves a goddamn gym that he might lose his life to either the streets or he might lose his life to an overzealous police officer. So what am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to look at him and say, hey, listen, you and I are going to go into this metaphorical world, this parallel universe where this isn't really a fucking thing. The black and white isn't a goddamn thing. Listen, when we can figure that out, then I'll be able to move on. But we can't figure it out. The underlining question, the reason why a guy like Trump gets in office and utilizes undertones of race, the reason why it was so powerful, the reason why his message was widely accepted by a whole bunch of folks, that particularly white folks in America, was because he was using race.
Yeah.
I can't go to. I cannot.
You didn't even hear what I said.
You're asking me to look at myself, and as a person of color, as someone that also has kids that are African American, right? As someone that has a grandmother that's African American and Mexican, right? So that means African American myself, although I don't identify with that, right? I don't identify with that because that's not the perception of the world. That's not how the world sees me. Knowing that, you're asking me to put that all aside.
I didn't say that at all.
I can't.
I said don't forget.
I can't.
Forget.
It's hard for me. It is hard for me not to look at where America has gone, where it is today, and the questions that I think are still relevant.
Better.
I still don't. You still have America that isn't necessarily forthcoming, or they don't want to discuss very awkward conversations.
We are.
Like, why did we invent the nigga in the first place?
I don't know.
Because black folks didn't invent him.
I have yet to look at Garrity and say, how do you deal with this guy? That's why there's a problem.
Black folks didn't invent him.
I have yet to. Hold on. No.
Brown folks didn't invent that word.
Now we're having two different conversations.
Did black folks invent spick? Did they invent wetback?
What does that have to do with anything?
Because race, typically, in the way that it's been displayed and utilized in America.
So brown people aren't even in the conversation.
No,
at all
I just put brown people in the conversation.
I did. I called you out on the fact that you never bring up brown people. It's always white people and black people. That's it. As if there's no other fucking shades of color in this country.
I don't. Honestly, I think that because of the way that race plays.
Honestly, I think because of the way you were raised, because of where you train, and how you grew up,
how race,
you have a closer connection with the black community than I do.
Most Latinos I know don't have a good idea of what race is in America, particularly because
I don't know better.
Because most Latinos, when they assimilate into the country, they end up in ethnic enclaves.
I don't think Daniel's necessarily in a Mexican only.
Predominantly Latino, where only Spanish is spoken, where there's
commerce. That's not me. So
where there's commerce, there's economics within their community where you
many Latinos. What you're saying, many Latinos in America live in Latino only world.
A Latino only world,
right?
It's also too.
And that's not necessitans Daniel's experience.
It's also to look at something like if you look at particularly how Mexicans are accepted in America. Listen, we can go to Dana Point or Newport Beach on Cinco de Mayo. You're going to see a bunch of white folks out.
And black people too. Okay. And everybody else. No, don't say okay.
Well, I don't know. Well, we're not going to go nowhere for
everybody's fucking Mexican on Cinco de Mayo. Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
But you're not going to.
The list goes on.
So Juneteenth is coming up.
I don't even know what Juneteenth is.
I know you don't. So
what is Juneteenth?
It doesn't matter. So Juneteenth is coming up.
I do know what Juneteenth is.
Okay, and
June 10th.
No, I was just in the South. I do know.
Okay, so Juneteenth is coming up. Let me tell you what you want.
What day is it?
What?
On the 19th, I think.
Yeah, so guess what you won't be seeing.
I know what it is.
You won't be seeing a bunch of folks at a bar getting fucked up for no reason. So
I'm always looking for a reason. What is this? Let's go.
But that's because
is it a good thing?
It hasn't been commercialized.
What is it?
There's a harder way to commercialize it than Cinco de Mayo. I mean, people don't even know what the fucking point of Cinco de Mayo is.
People that think that Cinco de Mayo is Independence Day. People don't know that it's just the Battle of Puebla.
It's a Boxing Day for a lot of people.
It's a Boxing Day.
So,
and that's a beautiful holiday, though, baby. Come on, we love that.
So I'm just being. We're looking into this with how Latinos identify with race. Latinos, I think that has always been fascinating with me, even as a Latino myself.
How would you celebrate that though? Like real talk.
I know,
let's take a
but
step
I'm
back.
talking about that you have.
It's like the.
You have a
it's
whole.
like Freedom Day. Like
you have a
Independence
whole.
Day.
For blacks?
All of Latin America was raped and pillaged and colonized and imperialized so much that none of us have our indigenous language. Not one. Maybe like some small tribe in the Amazon, but that was completely wiped out, right?
Yes, and
over 500 years, right?
Yes, absolutely. And
Latinos,
you're here right now complaining about all this stuff because of all the genocide that's occurred to all the Native Americans.
Latinos
will be on
Latinos will be on like some pro, like I'm a Latin American, speak Spanish, we have our culture, this is our people. When like, no, bro, you're literally a reflection of the imperialist. The language you speak, the last name.
But I will say a lot.
You know any Latin people with indigenous last name?
I don't even know what a fucking indigenous last name is.
Thank you.
It's Xochitl and a lot fewer vowels. A lot
but I'm just saying.
What's the point
So
of
you're
that?
asking Latin Americans. You're asking me why are Latin Americans more forthcoming? Or maybe you didn't say that, but this is something I think about. Why are Latin Americans not more like? Why aren't they talking more about race and society, race in America?
I didn't say that at all.
Well, this is something I think about.
Why you are not including them in the picture?
I think that I wish that Latin Americans would see that it is a collective. If black folks and brown folks could get together.
Thank you. I wish you would too. I wish you would too. I really wish you would too.
Remediate and rectify these things very quickly.
Yes, because we can come together because we outnumber.
Right, but
you don't propagate that at all.
The reason why it doesn't happen.
Because I'm the white guy in the room that's watching two minorities fight.
The way that it doesn't. The reason
You're the one winning.
I think that it doesn't happen is because
this is America right here.
When you have
the white guy, like yeah, okay.
When there's such a scarcity of resources in the communities of color, especially black and brown folks, right? That like it's this idea that not like I'll step on your back to get where I need to go, and you'll step on my back and you'll stab me in the back and you'll trip me if I'm running forward and so forth.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, but yeah, no, you need brown and black folks to get together to have a good idea about this. You also need, when like obviously I don't know if growing up like you heard the cotton picker and the strawberry picker shit.
Yeah. Well, not strawberry picker, but other things.
Okay, so like growing up, it would be like
bean picker.
Yeah, like that. Mexican and black friends that I knew growing up were all in the same group, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're a fucking cotton picker. Fuck you, you're a strawberry picker," but like you're a picker. All right?
Yeah, I know.
And obviously,
we're in it together.
Slavery.
This is my point.
Slavery is horrible.
Nothing's black and white.
But indentured servitude by means of going to America and having the only job that you can have, which is to pick strawberries and be in the fields and Ventura.
Yeah,
or whatever.
jobs that white people won't do.
Jobs that white folks won't do, right? So
which is hilarious that we pretend that
they're taking the job.
Yeah. But
and this whole idea that we need to build a wall, actually, U.S. needs immigrant labor to come and work on the fields right now. Like that's 100%. That's an economic fact. It's not going to happen otherwise.
Well, I mean, I'd like a wall around LA, but that's just a personal.
But I'm saying that.
We wouldn't have an agricultural industry if we didn't have.
It's also with imperialism that things like did get played out, right? I mean, you've got like if we're to watch novellas, and to see the skin faces, to see the features of the people that have the stardom in Latin America, that these faces are
the lighter faces,
the lighter faces,
and it's definitely the women that we also probably pursued too.
Well, I mean, even with that, you gotta we have to sort of think.
There's definitely a lot of colorism.
You and I have seen thousands and thousands of photos, probably tens of thousands, of this ideal feminine form. Probably before we even had an idea of what it was. So you and I.
Hey, it's starting to change though, bro. It's starting to change.
We're just walking.
Big ass is becoming.
No. I agree with Trevor, and I'll comment. I'll explain why I agreed 100%. Because when I saw the beautiful American body, or the beautiful woman, not American, but beautiful woman, it definitely looked a certain way.
Barbie.
And when I saw fucking The Other, which is what you're alluding to, where did I see that? National Geographic. Those are the only times I ever saw someone with a dark complexion and they looked a certain way and they weren't fucking attractive. I don't care what anyone says. Saggy titties, like everything, like just nothing was appealing about. No. But that's as a child, that's what I would see. National Geographic.
Sexuality too is malleable, right? I mean, you get like Kate Moss.
Most guys
in the '90s is I know, but I'm talking about.
There's interesting Google studies where they say what people are actually searching for, and it's not what they say they're attracted to.
The Google algorithm shit.
No, just like people are more more than would admit are attracted to fat girls. Like there's a.
No.
Yes, everything's taboo. I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah,
I wish people didn't get afraid about singing it next to someone in the car. I wish I didn't fucking turn my music down when I was in a stop sign. I know you attribute that to something else.
Well, I mean,
but it comes from the same sense of like, oh, I'm being looked at, I'm being judged. I don't want to do this.
Have you ever tried as an experiment to bawl your heart out at a stoplight? Try it.
A ball of what?
Just screaming along to your the radio.
I sing all the time on my radio now. I don't give a shit.
Okay, well, that's good.
We need more people like that.
That's good. A lot of people will get to the red light and then they'll stop singing because they're worried about who's there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I do.
So it's an exercise. I've done it to sing. Maybe stop at the red light and keep singing. Well, it all depends on what you're singing. I'm very comfortable singing The Bouncing Souls, but would I be singing Meek Mill? No.
You're not listening to Meek Mill.
I know.
You don't even know what one of the songs are.
But what I'm saying is that listen. I'm talking about an exercise we could all do, and listeners could do this at home too. Outside of this race conversation, go sing along your favorite song, stop at a stoplight, and continue to sing. Don't pipe down because
we have to look at other people too.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't look at other people.
So the first time maybe if you're not ready to look, the next time look and start singing because that's an exercise on just getting ready to do scary things. Eventually, you'll step into the ring for the first time, and you'll do your first sparring session.
You got to just train.
And then you just gotta
to sing in the car.
Hey, what? Hey,
but jumping on stage
along
the
to
first
that
time
shit.
is scary. You know, doing public speaking is scary. You know, singing at a recital is scary, and singing in the car is
Garrity,
scary.
I think you actually nailed it. You didn't talk this whole time. You nailed it. And the reason why I say this is because I can also show you videos where you could see white people walking down the street, and then black guys listen to music. And they both start dancing. They don't know each other, whatever. They're like getting down, and I've seen that too, and I'm sure you've seen that too. The people who are getting the barbecue invites, you know.
Yeah, I mean, listen. But that's real for sure. Real. But you're also talking about
your experience was negative. But if you can help,
you know who Bobby Caldwell is?
I might. It sounds familiar.
He's like, God, what the hell is the song? Oh, it's gonna bother me. You should BOBBYCALD.
He actually does sound familiar.
Caldwell.
We'll do the outro. If we're allowed
do the song as the outro because Bobby Caldwell is a moment where you find out that Bobby Caldwell is white.
Yeah, I know this guy.
Sing. What's the song?
Shit. What You Won't Do for Love?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you see my man has got like
he's got like a really deep voice. Like
you're like Bobby Caldwell's white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, now that we've tackled the problems of the world.
Problem solved now, right?
Problem solved.
Do you want to wrap it?
It's hotter than hell.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's all the arguing and yelling.
Hey, well, hey, Daniel, thanks for participating so much in this conversation. We had a good time.
Our 5-hour
thanks
debate.
For taking over, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I mean I enjoyed the input. I mean, it's a really fun conversation.
I can tell you right now, it's the longest podcast I've ever fucking done.
Perhaps we break it up into two parts.
I think it will be.
I think we'll have a 2 parts. So when you're getting to this,
we apologize for anyone that has.
If you're here, if you're listening to the end of this podcast, that means that go back to last week and you'll have the first part of that. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We told you when we started the Boxing podcast that we were going to cover as many bases as we can, so we go into everything from culture to boxing
to the universe of consciousness to death.
Guys, subscribe, share it with somebody, join a conversation, and sing in the car. Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Thank you.
Open that door. God damn.
I know it's hot.